What? Oh no. Take that off of there. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's time for a show. We're doing it. It's time. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Anyway. Oh gosh. Today is Sunday. Sunday fun day, babes. It's supposed to be 90 degrees in the valley today. So my air conditioner is going to be kicking on every once in a while. I think wow. You can tell I didn't warm up. It is usually not audible when my AC kicks on. Usually, you guys can't hear it. If you can hear it, I'm so sorry, but we are going to leave it on. Because, listen, I'm in my office. I'm generating heat. My computer is generating heat. My giant photography lights are generating heat. So, you know, we're going to do what we can. Shakespeare, hello. Hello, J-Lock. Ancom Jane, hello. Sapphic Hazard. I have to drive 5 hours today with no AC. Send good vibes. Jiminy Christmas. I hope at least that you are in a place where putting down the windows like feels good. When I was a kid, I flew into Albuquerque to visit with my grandmother, and she, either she didn't have AC or she just declined to use it, but it was like over 100 degrees in New Mexico when we were driving home, and we had the windows down, and I was like, this feels good, okay? But also, I'm from Kansas, where you have a very high degree of humidity all the time, so it's bad. Thank you, everybody complimenting my top. It's a cute top, you know? I feel like I maybe should reframe my stream a little bit, because with the way that I stand and everything, you ultimately usually can't even see my shirt. And like, I know that there's other streamers who will put their microphone like way up and away like this or whatever, and like maybe I should try that, but it does kind of feel like you all complain all the time about how quiet I am, so I should keep my microphone real close to my face. Hard nope, I bought my car here in Vegas specifically for its ability to stay cool in the heat. Yeah, I know for sure. Hello to the YouTube chat, Mira, Tubian, Nonsense Aficionado. It's around 75 already today, near the Oregon coast. We just had 4 glorious light cloud days, and I miss them already. This trailer is useless and turns into a tiny oven. Oh no! Today's thumbnail slaps hard, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. I am doing my best to, you know, put the right energy out there. I'm trying to put the right energy out there. And sometimes the right energy is bad bitch femme, you know? Sometimes that's what you gotta do. So today is planned to be just a kind of just chatting day. I'm sure we will end up talking about politics stuff because it's kind of inevitable or unavoidable. I'm just curious to see how many more people we can get in here. For example, if you hit the like button, that immediately tells YouTube to show the stream to more people. Let's see how many people we can get in here for just chatting trans stream. You know? Oh my god, fuck life. Living somewhere where it's 99 degrees with a projected high of 105. It will get that hot where I live, but it's only for like a couple days at a time. So we're gonna have like today 90, the next 2 days 90, and then it's gonna get cool again. Fen, great to see you in. Listen, yeah, if you've been focused on studying and lifting, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's cool for 99 with a projected high of 105 is cool. Kill me. Like, I would rather die. I just can't. I've been like really symptomatic the last couple days anyway, which is really frustrating. It's so weird because a lot of the time when I'm saying like, oh, I'm symptomatic, it means usually that like my heart rate has been acting weird, or like I'm very hyper aware of my heart rate. But then the last couple days, I've just been experiencing a lot of air hunger, which is this like feeling like you have low oxygen. And so you want to yawn and you yawn and you yawn and you want to take deep breaths. And paradoxically, that can end up like over oxygenating you, making you feel lightheaded in a hyperventilation kind of way. So Then I, like last night, I felt super lightheaded and I was all freaked out and I was laying down on the floor trying to get the feeling to go away and it just wouldn't. And my partner was like, sounds like a good time for us to go to bed. And I was like, you are correct, sir. If I stop breathing in my sleep, that's your problem. I have this like fear of just like stopping breathing in my sleep. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, I'm just like hella symptomatic and I'm trying to make sure to stay on top of all that. You know, I have my bowl of pudding that I did not finish, so I might periodically be like, nom 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 nom. Let me get a bite of that. Mm-hmm. My pudding with chia seeds. Glamour Claw, hello, welcome in. Ooh, I left my water in the kitchen, so I'm gonna have to go get that in a minute. We're usually in the 110s this time of year. Wow, you're like, it's like cool. You're 99 degrees. You're like, we're getting a reprieve from the usual 110s. Fuck life. Oh my god. I would not be able to handle that. Pride weekend, yo. Did y'all remember to get your gay on? So last year was the first time I ever went to a Pride event, and I did not make any plans to go to Pride this year. There are going to continue to be more Pride events in the future that I might go to, but I just didn't plan for it. I'm tired. I went to the Renaissance Festival, which was my kind of outdoor event for this month, I guess. I stopped breathing all the time in my sleep via sleep apnea. CPAP was a real game changer. I hope that I don't have to get one. Noah, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Noah Darkly Yours, tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Starting us off right with a $5 donation right at the top of the stream. Right now, it says cat. I'll go get the cat if you want, although he might mess up my shirt, so maybe we'll change it to Buff Mommy. Buff Mommy. There we go. All right. Now I've got my chat back. I can see you. Pride here is in October anyway. Funny enough, same weekend as Ren Fair. I will see if I'm up for it then. Yeah, maybe it'll be cooler in October. Jesus Christ. It's only 85 and I'm dying. Shout out to the north where sometimes the air hurts to breathe. I wish that you know, it comes in extremes, right? Because you've got your typical, like, oh my god, it gets too hot in the summer situation, right? But too hot in the summer also usually means too cold in the winter. I mean, in the US at least, you know, like Minnesota, for example. They get real hot in the summer and real cold in the winter. Now I live somewhere where it doesn't get as crazy hot in the summer, although still sometimes quite hot. And then also doesn't get very cold in the winter. So I'm like, I'm about to take some ginger that I bought from the store and put it in some dirt. And then I was like, oh wait, can I leave? It's like a semi-tropical plant, ginger. Can I just leave it outside during the winter in Portland? Like, I don't know if that works. I'm not sure. My European mind is absolutely not comprehending temperature in bald eagle. Okay, so 21 or 22C is like a pleasant room temperature, as I understand it. It's like right around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's 99F, it's 37 degrees C. So like in America, there are places where during the summertime, it's just regularly 37 degrees C. Just like, that's just how life is. You're expected to go outside and go places. I saw a YouTube short recently, or a Facebook reel or something, where, yeah, it was like, people from Europe are always talking smack on Americans, like, oh, it's so close, why don't you just walk there? And then Europeans come to America and they're like, oh, it's fucking 37 degrees outside. Yeah, like, duh, no shit, we don't walk places. And like everything is so far away anyway, and there's not like robust public transit. There's a lot of good reasons why Americans don't walk places, but yeah, one of them is 37C. Pants are fascist, true. Noah, I'm glad you got a chance to get that out of your system. Yeah, this temperature in Pride Month is literally transphobic. What the fuck? It's 36C where I am. Oh yeah, Italy. Yo, in Italy, you guys had, I think it was in Italy, a couple years ago, there was a climate change story out of Italy where there were like all these fires and everything was super hot. And we made a video about it because the other thing that was happening, well, the cause of some of the fires, in fact, was, and like, here's a little fun crossover moment because I also have been trained as an electrician. So, your power lines, when they run underground, run in pipes that are made of plastic. A lot of the time, like PVC or maybe a higher rated. But if you don't have electrical lines that go whoop 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 above, then you have power lines that are under the ground. Those power lines sometimes pass underneath roads. Roads are black. If you've ever walked across asphalt, you will know that it's much hotter on the asphalt than it is on the sidewalk. And obviously it's like hotter on the sidewalk than it is on the grass, right? But yeah, so what happened in Italy was the power lines that were in these pipes running under the roads, the pipes were melting because they are made out of plastic. The pipes were melting and exposing the wires, which was part of what was causing the fires there. So like, this is something that I get on my little soapbox about periodically, which is that like, we have installed all of our electrical in the entire country, at least, and like throughout the world. There are different standards in different places for how you install electrical lines, including things like, I'm installing this circuit in an attic, and it has to run along the surface of the attic, underneath the roof. Like, for example, if you're having solar panels installed on top of your house, right? You're getting solar panels, you're trying to do a good thing. There's electrical wiring that has to go from the roof down into your electrical system in your house. So there's attics, which are hot. Like, I don't know if you know this, but attics are really fucking hot, especially the space immediately underneath the roof. And if we know that there's going to be a high temperature, we will install a bigger wire, which is like more than enough to handle the current that is passing through it, but which will not generate as much heat with that current, understanding that it is already in a hot environment. And all of these electrical lines, all these circuits have a plastic coating. Like, if you've ever seen wiring in your house, you'll know usually wiring in your house has like a coating that goes around all three wires, and then each of the three wires, or maybe only two out of the three, will have their own plastic coating. If they get too hot, the plastic coating melts off, and then you have exposed electrical wiring, which is quite dangerous. So actually, when we are looking at climate change related disasters, this is something that, like, there is not the will or the money to bring awareness to this issue enough in time to like fix it beforehand. Like, we could absolutely generate a lot of economic growth. We could create a lot of jobs by upgrading everybody's wiring, by going through and being like, okay, when was your house wired? You know, do you have an attic? You know, and like, there's some situations like in agriculture, which this is part of why we've had so many fires for like chicken coops and at farms and things like this. It's like same thing. People are jerry-rigging some wiring, and they're not taking into account the fact that it's getting hotter every year. And then you have these fires, and then you lose livestock, and then prices go up, you know, and like there's less food. So, yeah, basically all of our houses are electrified tinder boxes. I worked in a house where, so like I said, in a house, there's usually, I'm sorry if this tangent is not interesting. Sorry, I went to school to learn to do this, and then I did it for like a couple years, and now I can't do it anymore. So now I just have all this information in my brain. I worked in a house, like I said, in your house, usually there's like three wires going, and it's like the hot, the neutral, and the ground. The hot and the neutral are black and white, respectively, and then the ground is usually uninsulated, which means it doesn't have a plastic coating on it. Sometimes it will have a green coating on it, but that's usually not in your house. And then on the outside, you have a rubber thing keeping all three of those wires together so that they're kind of in line like this. So you've got like a coating around it. I once worked in a house where this coating was like, it wasn't a modern rubber or plastic. It was really old. And so this rubber coating itself was starting to degrade and fall apart. So then you have like just parts of the wires where like they still have their plastic insulation. They still have the plastic that's around each individual little wire. But the rest of the Romex was like falling apart. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't have the time or the money to go through and fix all of this. Yeah. My dad was an electrician and I worked on houses with him, so it's shop talk to me. Yeah. I do think that it's the kind of thing where if you learn a little bit about something, suddenly your mind is open to all these other problems that could suddenly arise, which like most people are not aware of because you don't need to know anything about electrical for the most part. You call an electrician or you call your landlord and you have them deal with it. Oh, yeah, and like Fen points out earlier, because your water pipes are also often made out of PVC. Obviously, in old applications, it's like copper or something. But nowadays, we're piping things with plastic. And so you'll also have flooding in houses or in cities because the water infrastructure as well is vulnerable to that. Like issues of, yeah, the plastic is not rated to be at this temperature. It will literally melt. Another kid of an electrician here. Wow, that's so fun that there's only like 28 people here and there's 2 of you here who are like, yes, I have an electrician in my family. And it definitely put me on my path, however circuitous, to being a software engineer. Haha, circuitous. Ha 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 ha. I see what you did there, even if it wasn't intentional. That was I'm assuming that pun was on purpose. Hello, Sam. Welcome in. OMG, I remember this one job I did in Arizona when I was there in 2022 for a few months laying resin floors. I had to prepare a slab and put down a test patch to show the rescue how, quote, good it was. I was literally burning my hands on the concrete, and we had to walk around in our socks at points in the process so that we wouldn't scuff the resin. Literally felt like I was going to burn my feet constantly. I will say this. That shit sets up faster than any resin I've ever dealt with in the summer sun. God bless all the Mexicans that built literally all of Arizona. That shit is inhospitable. Good gracious. Yeah, don't, yeah. I just think that's... My son's GPA... My son's grandpa is an electrician, and I spent 8 months working for him. Electrical is really important to know. And it's... If it wasn't so physically demanding, I would love to continue doing it. And if it wasn't that there's an expectation that you just kind of you like ignore the rules in certain applications because it's faster. I did not deal well with that. I struggled a lot with like, oh, you're expecting me to just throw this Romex across here instead of securing it at the intervals that's supposed to be secured at. Cool. Fucking love that for me. So yeah, I struggled with that quite a bit. But it was good work. It's like, it's important to know. I contemplated doing up electricians union would have been focused on installation of automated security systems. Low voltage is nice. Yeah, like I can see the benefit of doing low voltage. You still have to crawl through attics and shit though, which is kind of one of the problems. Is like the physically demanding portion of the job is something that I just can't do. Although it's like, I guess I could become knowledgeable enough to design electrical systems, but at this point I'm like, let me focus on what I'm good at. Well, what I'm good at is talking and making content. So I'm just going to try to be good at this for a little while and see if that works. You're much more rigorous than I am, probably for the best that I work in software rather than something that can kill people. Yeah. And like as an apprentice, you're not responsible. You know, as an apprentice, you work for a master electrician. They have insurance. So technically speaking, I'm not liable as an apprentice for any work that I'm being told to do. But it was just like the principle of the thing. I'm like, what do you mean just throw the Romex across? That's insane to me. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, exactly, J-Lock. Yeah, it's so difficult knowing how to do something correctly and being told not to do it. And like in a situation where I'm like, I understand that most of the rules regarding um electrical installation and like how to do it correctly, most of the rules are because it will start a fire and kill someone. You know, like you're supposed to do it a certain way because literally people can die. Shout out to Noah's cat who just jumped on the desk to fart and then ran away. Yeah. Sam has a great question. Regarding the expectation that you skirt regulations, do you think, whoops, excuse me, do you think autistics can thrive working for other people? I notice we all have stories like that. Thank you, Riffs. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like this shirt, and it lets me not wear a bra, and you can't see my nipples. Anyway, I do kind of think that this may be part of why autistics have difficulty keeping jobs. It's like, first of all, the expectations are super high, and we are exerting energy that other people don't have to exert. Like, as an autistic person, I am exerting energy, ignoring all the extraneous sounds around me. I'm expending energy having to focus on what the person is saying. Or yeah, like there's additional work that goes into just being able to function on the base level. Even people who are not autistic are often dealing with this situation of, you know, being pushed to a point of burnout, and that's just the normal job expectations. It's not like the additional expectations that autistic people are like, you know, having to manage all these things in order to be functional. But then also, yes, there is like consistently across several industries that I've worked in, there is an expectation that you like, okay, doing things in a safe way takes more time. And most industries are obviously geared toward getting the most out of you in the time that you have. So if you like specifically being told, like on top of everything else with a job, being told to do something in an unsafe manner, or being put in a situation where it's obvious that you have no choice but to do something in an unsafe manner. Because that's the thing with some industries, they'll say, no, safety is so important to us, you have to do it this way. Like, here's an example. I worked for the United States Postal Service. I was a mailman, and I drove the classic vehicle that you guys all know of, like the aluminum square mail vehicles. And it was everybody was always like, no, you absolutely have to wear your seatbelt anytime you're in the vehicle. There were certain parts of my route. So there's kind of like 3 different things that you can do as a postal worker who's delivering mail. There's the ride along routes, and that's where you're literally just like, you're driving and you reach your hand out the window and you put something in someone's mailbox, right? You drive along, you put something in someone's mailbox. Okay, those are like the easy routes. Then there's the walking routes, where you park the vehicle at this end of the block, you walk down this side of the street and back up this side of the street, get back in your vehicle, and hop over to the next block. So you're physically walking for a lot of, and you've seen people, I'm sure you've seen postal workers walking around, and they deliver the mail, you know? And then there's a part of the route called a scoot, which is where, in Kansas City especially, a lot of the houses have the mailbox attached to the front of the building. It's not like out. I think this is changing with like suburbs now, where like the suburb will have, you know, the entire neighborhood, even though it's a neighborhood of houses, they go to a box that has a bunch of different mailboxes in it, and you have a key. It's more similar to what you would expect in an apartment complex, right? But we see those more in neighborhoods, and it saves time for the postal workers and all this. But there's these parts of the route called scoot. And now, so this is when like, okay, the houses are a little bit too far apart for you to reasonably walk. So you're like, instead of walking all the way down the street and then back up, what you do is you get in the vehicle Like you leave the vehicle running basically, and then you drive the vehicle the 100 feet or whatever to the next house, and then you hop out and you run up to the house. And again, in Kansas City, like certain areas of Kansas City, it's super hilly, so there's like usually a set of stairs, and you go up to the house, and then the mailbox is against the wall next to the door. So that's called scooting, where you like scoot along and you run out, you deliver the mail, you hop back in, you scoot down the street another 100 feet or whatever, and then you hop back out. Strictly according to regulations, you have to put your seatbelt on every single time you hop in the vehicle, right? So it's like you're scooting, you have to hop in, plug in your seatbelt, scoot along for 100 feet, unplug it, hop back out, and do that. Obviously, you are put under a time constraint that does not allow you to put on that seatbelt. Maybe something was different for me. Like I was put on a really notoriously shitty route. And so my route there were a couple parts of it in the morning that was like you're just driving and reaching your hand out the window. There was a lot of it that was me stopping the vehicle, parking it, getting out and walking down the entire block and then coming back. But there was a significant part of my day that was scooting. And it just felt really shitty. There was one day where they were doing like supervision, like they had a supervisor come out and like follow you or like tail along for part of your route. And it's like they tell you you have to wear your seatbelt when you're doing this, but they will get mad at you if you come back late. So I'm like, oh, you're expecting me to like put myself in danger basically. And you won't say that so that you have plausible deniability, but you expect me to do this in a way where actually I can't attend to all the safety precautions in order to get this done on time. And I know that you prioritize it getting done on time because you're getting annoyed with me and my 5.5 hours of, or hold on, how long? My 2.5 hours of overtime every week as I'm like, it's taking a half an hour longer. And I found out at some point that apparently the last person who had done that route, when they had last organized the routes and decided which ones are going to be, like, how long is it and which person is going to go do them and everything, they would run. So this previous guy was like, all of the parts where he was walking, he was actually jogging. And so I'm like walking at a brisk pace, but not running. And so, yeah, I literally couldn't get it done in the 8 hours that I was supposed to get it done without, pushing myself past my limits or compromising my safety by like not wearing my seatbelt when I'm doing my scoot. So yeah, that was terrible. And like, I do think that I think it impacts autistic people more because I think neurotypicals have this tendency to just be like, who cares? I'm just going to do what I'm told. And like, they don't seem to struggle as much with the tension. I don't actually know. Maybe I need to interview a bunch of neurotypical people and be like, hey, have you ever been asked or covertly expected to compromise safety or quality assurance standards in the interest of getting things done on a certain schedule, basically. And I would be fascinated to know what the result of that is, because it does seem to me as though, there's these always like, whatever it is, even if it's not like a serious safety thing, it's like precautions or procedures you're supposed to follow that they're just like, yeah, well, don't do it that way. Like, how dare you try to do it the way that we literally trained you how to do it? All of this just makes me glad safety precautions aren't my job. True. Honestly, I would be an amazing OSHA enforcer. Like, I would be like, dude, you're not even arguing with me. You're arguing with fucking OSHA, okay? This is what the workplace safety standards are. You either are operating safely or I'm going to shut you down. I would be amazing at that job. Shakespeare says, I worked in too many careers, worked on the job safety committee for the largest security firm in the US. Safest job sites were all government. Anything private, from factories to airports, safety standards are simply not being met by corpos. Yeah. Kitty says, OMG, the amount of times my boss would skimp on buying literal rags, which without them, you cannot clean your hands when they get dirty. The rags also can't be reused because you can't really wash the resins out. Regularly didn't have masks when we were supposed to be grinding a floor. and the vacuums had serious issues regularly clogging, so you're just surrounded by concrete dust while grinding next to a toilet. Yay for aerosolized, urine-infused concrete. God damn it, I wish we gave a single fuck about humans in a real sense. It's all just profits to them. Yeah, and like my partner was a flooring installer for a super long time. So yeah, like and like I worked in as an electrician, and like I was sent up into an attic, a church attic one time that okay, you guys know in The Wizard of Oz, there's that scene where there's like quote unquote snow falling, but it's actually fucking asbestos. I was sent into an attic one time, and it had that white stuff, that white insulation that I'm pretty sure had asbestos in it, and I wasn't provided with PPE. In fact, if I didn't have my own respirator, I would have been expected to go in without a respirator. So yeah, I mean, it's really fucked up. Like they're in basically every industry that I've ever been in, they want to skirt the rules. Like, you know, like when I worked at a gas station, like all of our tea things got covered in what we thought was black mold, and they expected me to clean it. I was like, I'm not going to clean it unless the store provides me with an N95 and like appropriate PPE. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Expecting me to clean mold? Like, this is something that you pay a professional to do, and you're expecting me to do it. I make $10 an hour. Sam says, for me, it's not always as serious as a safety issue. I worked for Starbucks a long time. My first store followed the standards, but anytime I worked at another store, they just did shit however and didn't say why. Excuse me. Yeah, it's really difficult for me to tolerate breaking the rules sometimes and not other times, and everybody else seems to know when it's okay. Yeah, dude, like, I think that ultimately is what it comes down to for autistics, is like, if you are clear about like when to follow this exact procedure and when not to, I can usually learn those rules over time. But when you initially tell me, here's all these rules, here's another one. I worked for a house cleaning company for only like a couple weeks, partially because they were unclear about their standards. Like during the training, they would use phrases like leave nothing untouched. Like, you're going to go clean and you're going to leave nothing untouched. And then, like, I go to this house that has a bunch of seashells all over the bathroom, right? And I can see that the seashells are dusty. And so I took the time to, like, dust all of that and clean it. And then by the end of the day, I was, like, rushing to get the kitchen stuff finished because I was like, okay, this bathroom has all these seashells. They told me leave no stone unturned, basically. So I'm cleaning all these things. But then, like, they got mad at me for not taking the time. So I'm like, oh, okay, so what you are actually expecting me to do is clean things in a way that, like, they look clean but haven't actually been touched, or, like, we don't actually care about no stone unturned. We actually care more about you getting it done on time. So it's, like, just being unclear with the expectations and not following up with me to explain or to ask. You know, if they had asked and been like, why did this not get done? I would be like, well, you told me to, in training, leave no stone unturned. There were all these dusty ass seashells, and so I cleaned them, and now you're mad at me for not doing the floor in the kitchen well enough. Because they also, like, you know, it's like you're working in houses where they want the help gone by the time they get home from work, so you have like a limited time to get your shit done. It was just really frustrating. And it's really like, I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know if I have the exact vocabulary. I would say it's really demoralizing when you're explained, like, here's how you're supposed to do this job, and then you start doing the job in the way that you were told, and then you're told, oh, you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it so wrong that we're not even going to tell you. We're just going to collect evidence that you didn't clean this well enough, and then we're going to fire you. Like, and in fact, that place didn't even fire me. They just stopped scheduling me and then stopped responding when I was asking when I was scheduled. Like, it's so shit. And then what sucks about that is, like, it was a family friend who got me into that job in the first place. So I'm like, oh, you are no longer a person who I like. Unfortunate. Still like your kids, don't like you. Oh, man. Yeah, so it is one of those things that makes it so difficult to work for someone else. So here I am. Ooh, by the way, there's 40 people in here. There's 30 likes. We're just kind of talking about whatever today. If you want to hang out with us, hit the like button. If you don't want to hang out with us, hit like and then leave. because that'll immediately bring more people in here, basically. So if we just suddenly get 10 more likes, this is going to immediately help the stream, and we can get more people in here to talk about fucking nothing. But yes, so I do think that this is one of the things that makes it so difficult to be employed as an autistic person. And like, so for me, I have these, they stack on top of each other. I have POTS and like symptoms of that make it hard for me to work. I have ADHD, and ADHD have like 17, people with ADHD have like a 17% nerf on employment. Like they tend to be unemployed at a higher rate, or like they lose jobs, or like there's like a lifetime reduction in total earning power for autistics and ADHD people. So yeah, just like ADHD, autism, my physical health issues, and all of that kind of represents like an inability to work for other people, right? Like I'm going to be expected to do something physical that I can't do, or I'm going to be expected to, I'm going to be trained to do things in a certain way and then punished when I don't know when to actually apply those rules. Or I'm going to miss some detail, or like I'm going to need to call out sick too often. I'm going to get burned out and I'm going to need to call in sick more often, and then I'll get fired for that. It's just like entirely hostile. Being trans too I'm at a place in my life where I can kind of just not bring that up and ignore it. But if I want to fully be myself at a job, then yeah, like being trans, ADHD, POTS, it's basically just not possible. It feels like it's just not possible for me to have a job. Timerinia, hello, says there's research which indicates that this type of moral or ethical adherence is more rigid for autistic people than for allistic people. As in, allistic people are more willing to ignore what they know is right or what they know should be done as a result of external pressure or for their own benefit. And following the rules it becomes part of that adherence to your structure. Yeah, like allistics will... It's so funny because the way that they've done this research, and I've looked into it a little bit, the way that they do this research is... they look at the fact that autistic people, like I think what they did was, it was looking at if you told a neurotypical versus an autistic person, like if you break this rule, then you will get some kind of benefit. And autistic people would refuse to break the rule. And they portrayed that as like, oh, autistics are rigid. Autistics, are not morally flexible or whatever. And it's like, instead of the focus being on like, oh, neurotypical people, if they feel a strong enough personal benefit to themselves, will disregard safety and morality in order to serve their self-interest. So for this to be framed as like, framing it as autistic people doing things wrong or behaving strangely, when it's like, no, you shouldn't be willing to set aside safety and morality in order to serve your self-interest. Like, you shouldn't. That's the fucked up thing to do. But we are positioned as like morally rigid or inflexible or whatever. And it's like, there are some situations where you shouldn't be morally flexible. Hi, Mersh. Welcome in. I hope things are going well with you. I know that you've been struggling lately and busy and all kinds of shit going on, so I hope that you're having a good time. I'm not really a rules person. Like, I will completely disregard any rule I don't see a good reason for, but safety rules have good reasons. I mean, that's where I land on this too, Sapphic. Like, I don't follow stupid rules, but if you tell me that, okay, here's why we have this rule, I'm like, got it. That makes perfect sense, and I will never mess that up. Like, I need a good reason. When I was an emergency responder, it was always crazy to see medics just seemingly forget large portions of basic training. Jesus Christ. Learned everything I needed to know about safety from watching my dad show me what not to do. Multiple self-immolations, falling off trees, bees, multiple self-immolations is what's getting me. It's like he set himself on fire more than once. Oh my God. Never work with family IMO, true. I mean, it sucked. It's like, okay, How much do I go in detail about this? Okay. My so my partner had worked with this guy that he's known since he was a kid. And it was that guy's wife. So I'm like, my partner has worked with this guy, and his wife was the one who worked at the cleaning company who fired me by ghosting me and wouldn't explain what the expectations actually were. You know? So it's like, damn, like my husband got a good deal out of knowing those people, but I got screwed knowing that same group of people because I guess like the wife, I don't know, like maybe she actually cared about me and didn't want to ghost me, but it was the standard of her workplace, and so she was willing to screw me over because her workplace didn't care about me personally. I don't know, it was just fucking stupid. At my last job, everyone would get all bent out of shape because I would ask for help moving punch and die sets that weigh up to 600 pounds, and it would burn me out so bad I would just keep missing work, and then I was inevitably fired. Yeah, so like people won't help you in your job. Like basically an accommodation, right? Helping you move something that weighs 600 pounds. That would be considered like an accommodation for a non-disabled person, right? But like accommodation could also mean like letting you wear your noise canceling headphones as an autistic person. And it's like the lack of willingness to accommodate what are functionally like normal differences. You know, like it's normal that you can't move 600 pounds by yourself. You should get help with that. But then they won't help you. And then they're like mad at you for help. They're mad at you for asking for help in the first place. And then you burn yourself out doing it by yourself. And then you get fired because you missed work. Like you injure yourself doing something that you're expected to do without help, and then your workplace decides that they're going to fire you or like try to skirt your workman's comp claim. Numberland says, this is why I employ disabled people as my PAs preferentially who would otherwise struggle to work. It benefits both me and them. That's awesome. Yeah, if you have the ability to hire disabled people or autistic people, you know, we're good workers. We just need accommodations. Andy says, my wife has IBS, fibro, and ADHD, and it was rare for her to keep a job longer than a year. Yeah, they just won't give us adequate time off. They won't give us accommodations that make us able to do the work. They just don't care. It like literally, this system is completely fine with you dying and not being able to afford food. Like they just don't care. My spouse showed me some article about a few companies that have neurodivergent departments. Haven't looked into it too hard, but it seems sus. I mean, I do think that every big company should have a neurodivergent department. Every big company should also have a gay department so that you don't... Hold on. We need to avoid situations like this. We need to avoid situations like Bussy the Vampire Slayer. Okay? You need gay people to work at your outfit. You need gay people so that we don't have Bussy the Vampire Slayer. Glamour Claw says there are rules for quality assurance of goods and services, and then there's a separate set of rules put there to look like they care when it just eats time and energy. Yeah, that's fair enough too. Oh my god, Sam says, the framing on rigidity, I've gotten feedback so much in my current job as a data analyst about being too rigid, but I've never given pushback for anything that wasn't undeniably fraud. Oh my god, dude. It's fucking so upsetting. And then, yeah, they won't let you work from home. Like, work from home is the perfect accommodation, but they won't let you do that. Yes, at the end of the day, to a capitalist system, if you can't work, you are just a useless eater and should die, apparently. I mean, even if you can work with some minor accommodations, like, I could work if I was being accommodated. But because I need accommodations in order to work, they're just like, oh, well, I guess you can't work. But also, it's not like, I guess you can't work enough that we're going to give you disability. Like, oh, you're too disabled to work, but we're not going to give you disability. And we're not going to try to force companies to actually keep... Like, there's like a jobs guarantee. And I know that it's like one of those things I haven't really thought about that much, honestly, but the concept of a jobs guarantee, like if we're going to have a system where you are required to earn money to live, where if we have no UBI, if we have no public housing assistance, then you should have a job guaranteed. They should be like, no matter what, we're going to find something for you to do. Or like increase, we've talked about this recently, like increasing placement. I don't even know. Like there isn't really a robust infrastructure for this. We would have to build it out of nothing. But like the idea of helping people figure out what is the career that's going to work for them, you know, like actually being like, instead of just like, yeah, go to college. You need to go to college. It doesn't matter what you get a degree in, just go to college. So instead of doing that, like if we were like, yeah, so you're autistic and you have a particular interest in like art, so maybe we need to funnel this kid into a graphic design program, or maybe we need to funnel this kid into a marketing position. Or like, yeah, this person is really rigid about safety standards. Maybe they should be an OSHA officer. Mama! Hi, Mama. How you doing? I worked with benzene and lead paint for a couple decades when I was making signs, and I always wonder what damage was done. Yeah, and you won't fucking know. Like, you'll just die younger than you would have otherwise, and... yeah. Oh my gosh. You guys have got so much to say about this topic. Been studying for a licensing examination for my new job. I've had to review a lot of math and biochemistry. My practice test scores are passing and it looks like I'm making progress. I've put in about 26 hours of studying so far, however it's worth it, because if I do pass the exam, I'll make twice as much money as I did in my last job. High five, Mersh. That's awesome. Congratulations. I know that you haven't gotten the job yet or whatever, but like the fact that you're putting so much work into it and making progress, it sounds great. Katie says, I think my favorite story about my dad is they told him after 20 years of creating the foundations of the industry that he needed to go back to school and get a degree in fixing the machine he helped invent. Just totally bailing and starting over was such a hilarious response, IMO, and exactly what I would have done. So your dad just decided to change careers. He was like, I helped create this machine, and now you're gonna say that in order to work in this industry, I have to go back to school? Yeah, like, fuck this. I will just go do something else. That's hilarious. Wow. So Noah says, one time my dad, who's a professional lineman, stuck his hand in a live electrical box. He was smoking. Like, I assume you mean like smoke was coming off of his body. The other time it was him opening a flame next to a propane tank, which he had left open. He looked like a Super Saiyan for a moment. Oh my god, dude. Being a lineman would be so scary. I would be like, dude, oh man, being a lineman would suck. Oh, it's terrible. So much travel, and like you have to get out there in the worst of the storm and try to restore people's power. Ugh, yeah, that's wild. Yeah, the job guarantee in the US is that you get homeless, you get arrested and put in jail, and then you are put to work as a slave in the police. Or, sorry, in the prison. Yeah, totally. Mama says there's a bunch of people at the shelter where I work who are screwed because they're too disabled to work and not disabled enough to get more benefits. The only options out of that pincer have been totally slashed by the Trump administration, making cuts to the HUD department. Right. Yeah, there's like more and more people falling through the cracks, and people bitch about the homelessness problem, but this is it. Is like disabled people are so overrepresented in the homeless population. And this is the exact reason, which is a big part of why it's so profoundly fucked up that homeless people's stuff gets trashed periodically, because it's disabled people. It's people who have like, they have pills, or they have sensitive documents, or like prescriptions, like not the physical medicine, but the prescription itself, or their mobility devices or whatever. So it's like disabled people who are screwed. They tried to work. They probably became disabled because they were working, but there's not adequate services, and we're trying to reduce access to those services even more. And then, yeah, like, it's no surprise why people end up homeless. And, like, those people, like, if you lose your home and your job and you don't have access to the prescription medication that you were on previously, like for, let's say you have a chronic pain condition, then yeah, of course you end up doing fucking heroin. Like, of course you end up doing drugs because they're available. And like, what the fuck else are you going to do? Like, how else are you going to get through the day? Like, I'm not saying let's support heroin use or anything crazy. I'm just like, I get it. Like, it makes sense why people end up in that situation. Yeah, a strong sense of injustice is common, and you gathered all of us here. I know, I have gathered all of you autistic people here. Sam says, I feel like we should have coaching or job placement matching. When I worked at Starbucks, I was briefly a manager and had many neurodivergent people transfer to my store, and it was a great fit till I left. Ooh, yeah. Libraries should be expanded physically and be the flagship sites for job fairs and hiring events. There could even be separate wings for resume building and assistance. I mean, I don't disagree with that on principle. I think that's a great idea. Oh, okay. Mersh, you have signed a contract for a new job. Okay. Part of the contract to keep the job is to pass these tests. I've had previous jobs like this in the past and had to take similar exams. Going to be working in the next few weeks for training. I'm allowed to take the test one other time if I were to fail the first time, but I plan on passing it the first time. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad for you. Yeah, you have a contract, so you're like solid. This has been one of the most difficult things. Like, I'm self-employed. Like, I've talked about this before. Even if I fall behind on my work, my job is still there. Even if I have to take time off, like, I considered not streaming today and I decided to do it, and I'm feeling okay. But it is going to get hotter, and then like sometimes like the AC struggles to actually keep it cool in here. So if it gets hot, then I'm going to stop. But like, my job will still be there, even if I'm underperforming, or like even if shit goes weird with the algorithm, which apparently for everybody the algorithm is going super weird right now. At least my job is still there waiting for me. So it's been really hard watching people be like, no, like, I lost my job, or I'm clearly being squeezed out. Kitty says, are you talking about the career placement stuff? You don't have to do it from the ground up. We have 4 variants of a good system in the European Union that ends with between 30 to 40% in college type careers, and 55 to 70% end up in trade careers. It depends on which exact ratio you want, but all of the research has been done, and you can just adapt 50% of the space in high schools. Oh, so it's like we don't even have to build. It doesn't, excuse me, oh my God. It doesn't even have to be after college. Like, yeah, you could, yeah, high schools create shop classes. Totally. Yeah, falling through the cracks in high school and then rerunning that again in your 30s. I can't remember what country you're in, Tima. You're in the European Union somewhere. But if you want to have income here while you are unable to work, you have to first prove that you can't work. And the way to do that is by trying extremely hard in the way that the government wants for 3 to 6 months without ever complaining, basically. And if you get hired for any regular job, you will have to start over from the beginning, even if you get fired after a month or so. Love that. Great. Oh, gosh, yeah. Shakespeare, I'm a disabled, homeless, and trans person, thankfully indoors. I cannot move back into my back. Those conditions accelerate my health issues, and things just spiral more and more, and social workers run around trying to keep me afloat. Yeah. And like, I know that you are capable of doing work, Shakespeare. Like, you're doing community organizing and stuff. So it's clear that you are able to do work. But it's like, yeah, like not being able to do the work in the particular way. Like, is there an opportunity for all of us and we just are in a bad place to find it? Or are we just not looking for the right things? You know, like, oh, cannot move back into my car because yeah, that would, yeah, of course, living in your car is going to accelerate health issues. Absolutely. Um, but yeah, it's like, is there actually an opportunity? Like, it only just occurred to me recently that being a social media manager for a company or a nonprofit could be an option. You know, it's like, that is a viable option, probably. But like, I think I am well suited to that kind of job. It's just a matter of like getting the right opportunity at that point. Hi, Gayfish. Welcome in. We also, as a culture, need to devalue being a professional athlete. It is just glorified performance art with a heightened chance of crippling injury. I'm fine with those people having a respected place in society, but let's stop venerating the circus. Also, we needed to grow our own bread. Theirs is cake. Um, are you basically saying that like we shouldn't have professional athlete as like a job? Like, should we not have like the ability to pay those people? True, Noah. True. It's like it's kind of unkind, but Numberland says, I am so much more ill thanks to work. I am lucky that I live in Scotland, so I have disability benefits, and admittedly, after a horrible process, I could get ill health retirement. Yeah, you have like more of a social safety net there. Hales says, my wife got her PhD. She was planning to teach, but there was literally only one 10-year job in Texas this whole year and 0 jobs last year. She's trans and autistic and takes the job rejection personally, though there's no jobs. I mean, you just might have to move somewhere else in order to. Because in Texas, obviously, they're going to be defunding education. I know a teacher in Texas who was extremely good at their job, but has lost their job. And it was fucked up because they didn't even like lose their job. Their job just stopped paying them. And like technically, I think they're still like an employee. They never formally were terminated. They just stopped receiving a paycheck. It's fucked up. They're moving to France. Whatever happened to Demon Mama? Demon Mama still makes some content. I don't think she's streaming, and I don't know if she's ever going to go back to it at this point. I haven't spoken to her about it, but she does do a podcast with myself and Gayfesh. Go to the Gayfesh YouTube channel. Let me pull that up actually and post a link in the YouTube chat for you. If you go to the Gayfesh YouTube channel, if you want to get some Demon Mama content, Demon Mama and I talk to Gayfesh every week, or not every week, it's like every other week, about movies on the podcast. So it's called the Many Worlds Hypothesis. So if you're missing Demon Mama, you can still catch her commentary and everything. Right now, we are going through the Star Trek, the original series movies. Previously, we talked about Star Wars Andor Season 1, and previously we talked about the Marvel movies that have Captain America in them. And next, we're going to be doing Star Wars Andor Season 2. Yeah. So if you want Demon Mama, go look at the podcast. I hope DM and her critters are doing okay. They're doing okay. Life keeps happening as it happens to all of us, and things come up. They're dealing with some stuff right now, but, you know, I don't want to talk about someone else's personal life if they're not making it public, but, like, long story short, they're doing fine. Riff says that work is never the problem. It's actually the constant crushing weight of endless productivity. There's nothing more demotivating than getting a billion things made just to be told to make a billion more by the next day. Yeah, like I think this is part of what people talk about when they're talking about like domestic labor and the way that men versus women take on domestic labor. I have a pretty feminine role in that aspect in my dynamic, right? But my husband works full time and I work basically part time or like as much as I can doing streams and things. Um, so like I do the dishes. And like if you have kids, then mom is usually the one who's picking up after the kids, or she's orchestrating bedtime, or she's getting bath time done or whatever. And like men tend to view their role as like, well, I'm going to change the oil in the car, or like I'm going to fix that one thing. It's like, okay, so what you think is your responsibility is tasks that once they're done are basically done and you don't have to think about it anymore. And it's also tasks that you basically only have to do like once or twice a year. Like, oh, the man cleans the gutters. Oh, the man mows the lawn. Like that's the only consistent thing that a man is expected to do in these dynamics, that he has to do regularly, right? But the dishes, it's okay. So if you mow the lawn, it's probably going to be at least 1 week before you have to mow it again. And you could probably even let it stretch to like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, depending on what you have in your yard or what the neighborhood regulations are. So a man's job is like, okay, once a week I go mow the lawn for 1 hour. Whereas like the feminine role is like, okay, you do the dishes and then, oh, somebody decides that they're going to have a snack before bed. Oh, there's another fucking dirty dish. You know, it's like literally unending. There is no point at which laundry is all finished because you're wearing clothes. Like there's literally always dirty clothes unless you strip yourself naked and clean all of the clothes in the house all at the same time. And you also don't have to be responsible for anybody else's laundry. Like there is no such thing. So it's kind of similar, I think, with our job system, where the kinds of jobs that we have created are ones where like, even if you have a sense of accomplishment of like, okay, that one thing is done, and like, woohoo, you're done. They're just like, okay, well, here's another thing on your desk. Move to the next thing. You don't get acknowledged for your achievements in that way, and you don't even have time to personally celebrate your wins, and personally go, oh yeah, I did a good job. You know, like our jobs do not have a reward system tied in, and like as a self-employed person, I have to figure this out for myself. It's like, okay, I'm gonna finish my I Saw the TV Glow video this week, and I need to figure out a way to like make that feel like a complete task. But that's hard to do because for my job, I upload a video and then I'm like, ooh, that video is not doing so good. And then I'm like, let me make a new thumbnail or let me change the title. And so I'm still thinking about the success of the product, even though I have technically finished the product, right? So there is no point in time at which my work feels like I did that, I'm done, and I can take a moment to like bask in that. But so that's just what you have to do, is like you just have to give yourself credit for things. And it's so shit to feel like all of your motivation or all of your reward system has to come internally. You know, that completing the task itself doesn't give you the brain chemicals, especially if you know that you're just going to get another task given to you immediately, or if that task continues to require you to pay attention to it. Or yeah, if you clean all of the dishes and you're like, ooh, look at how clean the kitchen is, and then you wake up the next morning and people are leaving dishes in the sink and you're like, I'm going to fucking kill myself or someone else. Like it's just never ending. And so you have to, at the very minimum, give it to yourself. Give yourself the credit. Give yourself a break. Create a reward system for yourself to where when you finish the video, you get like ice cream. I don't know what the thing is. You have to you have to do something. She Who Knows No Name says, I've managed to get extremely strange, niche, and accessible jobs, but even then I realize I'm hanging on by a thread, and should those jobs dry up, I would be high and dry. Ugh, yeah, that's the tough thing. I'm fine with professional athletes existing. I think having games that have a higher safety level and more after career support for injured athletes, and honestly, anyone who retires from a sport should have some kind of support into the future. Even the way it is structured now, most are just kids that get ground up and left with nothing but bad joints by age 30. I was glad when they allowed college athletes to get formally sponsored and make money. I'm sad that track and field is being cut at multiple schools nationwide in favor of football programs, even though football has the highest body count in sports because the school funded stuff through those sponsorships. Yeah, that's the thing about sports is like it is a multi-million-dollar industry, and it's filled, especially college sports, just absolutely filled to the brim with exploited workers, functionally, like exploited workers. If you're making a shit ton of money off of these people and their name recognition, and like there's like video games with college athletes in them, and it's like, I'm not getting any royalties for that. You're using my name and my image in this video game, but I don't have rights to the money that I... No. It's real fucked up the way that we treat college athletes. And it's just like veterans too. Like we treat, retired football players, except that they have a shit ton of money. Like retired football players do seem to have continuing income, or like they just diversify well enough when they're making a shit ton of money. But it is a similar attitude where it's like, oh, he fell off, we can't do anything anymore, like blah, blah, blah. And then like with veterans, similar thing where it's like, you're just disposable. We will use you. We'll say, oh my God, soldiers are so great. Oh my God, football players are so great. And then if they do anything that socially steps out of line, or if they stop performing as well, if they start to show that they have needs, like they're disabled or they have mental health issues, we as a society just don't fucking care about that. Oh, Hales says, in my wife's field, there's only one job open in the entire USA. I feel like that's the kind of thing I would have maybe looked into before deciding to devote myself to a PhD. Now, I do think that getting that, like, knowledge for knowledge's sake is important, and that we should, like, the job or social role of scholar should absolutely still exist. Like, if there are people who are just like, I would like to be in school and know things, I think we should subsidize that lifestyle. I think that's a good thing. But in this system where we have this whole, like, you have to actually do something with yourself after you get the degree, I maybe would have picked a PhD in something and tried to be a teacher in something that's actually in demand. So I do feel like if you went into this and you were like, aha, it's like, are you vying for like one of 10 jobs in the whole country? Like, did you start your PhD? I know you can't speak for your wife, but I'm just like, is there a hypothetical person out there who starts a PhD program knowing that when they get done with that PhD, they're going to be competing for one of like 5 jobs in that entire field? That seems insane to me. Yeah, you don't feel like you're getting accolades for your work? Did you even remember the pizza party we had 6 months ago? Yeah, the athletes that were on a strong team but don't have a lot of personal name recognition will not get as many opportunities after retirement. That's true, absolutely. I love Habitica for rewarding and motivating self for these sorts of tasks. I liked Habitica. I used it a bunch, but it doesn't work for me beyond like the first couple weeks. Any kind of online reward system, I'm like, I don't care about this. My brain does not process it as an actual reward. I need physical rewards. Later riffs, yes. I will keep the sexy outfits coming. I think that this is just going to be the norm for streams from now on, is like I have to dress pretty in a slightly feminine way. And then I will get close to getting 50 likes, but not quite 50 likes. Mersh says, I've always had jobs that are basically saying one way or another, I have to continue studying and gaining new credentials and degrees, eternally in school and in training, along with working my job. Technological and scientific, have to keep up with modern tech and research. Sure, yeah, I mean, it's not entirely unheard of. Like like a master electrician has to have like, I think like 8 hours of continuing education per year in order to maintain their master's license. So yeah, there are lots of different jobs where you are expected to keep learning, but it is tough. For what it's worth, I think that outfit looks very attractive mask on you, but that could just be me, still androgynous royalty. I have no idea what I look like anymore. I think it turns out. Like what I'm wearing is I'm wearing a plunge shirt. Like it's a plunge, loose, flowy. It's like it's black, so maybe it's like you can't see the boobs as much, but it is, it's a cute little sexy number, and I think of it as femme, but I'm okay with it. If you see it as masculine, that's fine. If there are 5 jobs with 10 applicants, that's the same probability as having 5,000 jobs with 10,000 applicants, but the 5 jobs will have a lot more money and better life. Yeah. I mean, but now this chatter is in a situation where their wife is trying to find, like, there's only one job in the entire USA. So I'm like I don't know what you could possibly have done to put yourself in that situation where you're like, I'm now a group of probably 30 people competing for this one job. And it's like, I guess you couldn't have predicted that it was going to slim down to one job when maybe there used to be 10 jobs. But I don't know. It just seems like a crazy thing to do with your time. But I didn't go to college, so I think going to college is kind of a crazy use of your time as well, much less getting a PhD. Mama says, you should look at my TikToks for femme with muscles, business casual looks. True. I just need more clothes. It is something that I actually am hoping to be able to do in the next year or two, is like rebuild my wardrobe, because I've changed weight and I've gotten rid of clothes, and like I don't like wearing t-shirts anymore, and I have so many t-shirts. So yeah, just like rebuilding a wardrobe and making sure that I'm buying materials that are breathable first and foremost, because I'm disabled, and then like hopefully they can be stylish on top of that. I don't know. I'm definitely not putting a huge priority on rebuilding my wardrobe right now, but if the outfits for the stream get too repetitive, I will need to do that. I'm basically viewing it as like, oh yeah, this is my new work uniform, is like, my new work uniform is being a pretty femme. Thrifting is so goated. I know. I do think thrifting is kind of the way to go. Just, you got to be willing to go out there and like try on clothes for a few hours. It would be much easier if I, like, when my partner finally gets a vehicle, which we are actively working on that right now. But if when my partner gets a vehicle and I can have my goddamn car back, and then I can go to the thrift store like on a Tuesday right when they open, then I'll have a lot fewer people to, fight over clothes with. Frivolous or useless degrees tends to be a Republican talking point, on the other hand. They say, oh yeah, serves you right not having any money. Yeah. I don't even know, like, what, I don't know. I do think really what this comes back to is the problem of, like, we just keep telling people, go to college. It doesn't matter what it's for. Just go to college. It doesn't matter what it's for. It doesn't matter if you end up with exactly the job you were thinking of. You don't need to settle on your major until you've done your first 2 years of work, right? And then you just have like a degree in which like you didn't really learn anything specific. You didn't really learn anything that was going to help you specifically. You just have a degree and a bunch of debt. And it's like, there wasn't anything. Or we tell kids like, yeah, it doesn't matter what your degree is in. And so they do a degree in something that they like. They're like, oh, I love learning about English. and they don't consider like, are there going to be any teaching jobs, or like what am I gonna be am I gonna go get an English degree and then become a famous author? Like, I don't know, man. I love fashion and helping folks out with it. I've done many personal shopping experiences with trans folk in my community because I got a job at a clothes shop specifically to learn how to clothes after starting HRT. I mean, if you're like good at it, if you're good at clothes, I wonder if like being a tailor is something that we should bring back, you know? Sam says, I like continuing education personally, especially when different generations are there together, because it's a good opportunity for true mentorship instead of just boomers complaining about young people. I love continuing education, and I'm thinking about taking some classes at like a community college to like brush up on my writing skills, maybe learn some stuff about marketing. Like, what do they teach about marketing in schools nowadays? And that can help me a little bit with maybe if I know more about marketing, I'll be better at my job. I don't know. For the tall girlies, Mama says, big swooshy pants and a tight shirt. Guaranteed success. I appreciate that. You know what's really funny is like I'm wearing this super cute, like kind of sexy slinky shirt, and basketball shorts, baby. Cute slinky top, basketball shorts, compression socks. It's like everything below the waist is just like, wow, that's remarkably unsexy. I've been recommending my wife take a few courses because she talks about college so fondly. I like college. I enjoyed it. I mean, this is part of what tricked me into thinking that I would be good at being an electrician, is that I was really good at being a student learning electrical technology. Hi, Drea. Yes, you've popped in at just the right time. I'd look at SEO classes specifically. My marketing and businesses degree feels useless. Well, I just want to do like one or two classes. I'm not trying to get a whole degree. I'm just like curious about meeting people or maybe taking a class. Like maybe I'll take a class in Spanish to get to like bring a little bit more practicality to my Duolingo experience. Very work from home core. True. Yeah. I'm gonna dress all cute just for the Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting. That's all I need. I just need to look cute for the Zoom meeting. A comfortable person is rather sexy, IMO. Dude, so Deegan, I recently asked my partner if I was like, "Hey, do you think you'd be interested in helping with my Fansly, like helping me by, taking sexy pictures of me, or like maybe you can tell me like, is this pose working, or like should I tilt my head down or whatever?" And he was like, "No." Well, he didn't outright say no, but he was basically like, "I don't think I really have a good eye for that anymore." And I was like, "Oh yeah, are you fully on the like you're sexiest when your hair is messy and you're wearing sweatpants?" And he's like, "Kinda, yeah." It's like, "Oh, okay, great." I don't know why I was so annoyed. I'm like, "Oh, fine, great." Like, I can't even be sexy to you anymore. Like, I'm like with one of those cis men who's like, I don't care if you wear lingerie. Like, I'm not even gonna notice or comment on it for the most part. Sometimes, like, we're getting better at these things. Like, I'm like, if I'm dressed up, you should be like saying something about it, Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's just silly. I just find that really silly. It's like, what are you trying to say? Like, if I had a wife or a girlfriend who was like, "Hey, will you try to take sexy pictures of me for my Fansly?" I would be like, "Bet." I would be so into that. It's like, it's not just for maybe we even take some pictures that you're not going to post, because like I only post non-sexual things on Fansly. You know, it is basically like an OnlyFans knockoff. So people expect there to be porn there, but I've only ever posted like suggestive but still fully clothed photos. So I'm like, yeah, if I feel like that would be a great like sexy opportunity with your partner to be like, ooh, you feel sexy in that outfit that you're wearing. I care less about that sexy outfit you're wearing right now, but I'm into the energy of you feeling sexy about yourself. And maybe you take the shirt off and we take some pictures that are just for us privately. And, you know, it's just like, seems like a fun opportunity. Didn't they ban furries recently? I don't know, but I did see someone, I don't know if it was OnlyFans or Fansly, but someone was complaining that they had basically built an entire brand of like smoking weed and posting skimpy pictures, and they have to take all of their weed content down, which I thought was wild. I found that working with the front-facing camera or setting up a screen so you can see where your camera sees while you take your own pics is really the best way to do it. I know. I know. I also just don't feel very sexy. Like, I don't know. I think it's just because I've gained weight. Like, I feel like I'm stuck and I'm trying to lose weight and it's just not going anywhere. And maybe it's because of my birth control, but I just don't feel very sexy right now. So I don't really want to take pictures by myself. I'm like, how can I feel sexy again? Is like having someone else appreciate it with me feels like it would feel better, but I don't know. It's just stupid. Something about seamless, gray, comfy undies does it for me. True. Okay, fair enough. Okay, Mersh's recommendation. They say you have to use political pull and study strategically even at the university level when you're a student. Who you worked under as a student and what research you conducted then for your PhD, etc. also makes a difference. If your professor or mentor has links with certain institutions or industries, it is helpful. Also, if you have connections with politicians such as congressmen or the military, that helps. I confess that I used some political pull and networking to my advantage to get my new job. Networking is key. Yeah, but that's like the thing, is like I'm autistic and all these other things, and like so I'm not good at networking, or like those opportunities have generally not presented themselves for me. So I don't know, like, but that is part of the appeal of going to college, or even just taking a couple classes is like the opportunity to meet people. And, you know, maybe I won't learn anything particularly useful in a marketing class, but maybe I will meet, or like maybe I'll learn some nugget, or maybe I'll meet someone who can point me in a different direction or do a collab or something. Like it is a good thing to try to do, networking. Not sure about your area, but there are a lot of community-run conversation groups for people trying to learn English or Spanish, which are usually more practical than a formal class. Yeah, there are a shit ton of Spanish-speaking people here. So maybe there's something through the library, like if I could help someone who's Spanish first language learn English while at the same time they're helping me learn Spanish, I do think that would be an amazing thing. Ooh, Sam says my partner takes film pictures of me for this reason. I can't see them until they're developed, so it's just about having fun in the moment. Yeah, it's like, let's just have fun. Let's just take sexy pictures and, you know, compliment each other and everything. Mama says, we're in the tummy renaissance. Are we in the tummy renaissance? I realize, I think part of my sympathetic nervous system problem that I have is that I'm constantly sucking in my gut slightly. It's like a posture thing on one hand, but also it's like, if I were to let my gut go and actually just let it be loose, I think I would have a ton of stretch marks already. My skin stretch marks so easily, so like I think I just keep my tummy tucked in all the time, and it's not really intentional. It just is part of how I function, and it like makes me seem skinnier, but also like it might be part of why I have trouble taking a full deep breath, because I'm like, my skin is actually not accommodating how much expansion I need to do now in order to take a deep breath. Man, having a body is a fucking bummer. Clothes can be easily changed, a person's personality not so much. Being comfortable with yourself, being in tune with what makes you happy, and a drive to work on yourself is so beautiful. Yeah, that's fair. Every time I think of belly pride, I think of Jay Sherman playing the trumpet. I don't know what this is. Jay Sherman trumpet? Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. I get it. That makes sense to me. Belly pride for the tummy. Body fat really sucks when you're trans and it won't change from your old hormone distribution. Yeah, this is like why people get a BBL. Is because fat tends to pack itself on where you already have adipose. So people get a BBL and they remove fat from their belly and this part of their hips here, or their waist, and they move it down here. And it's because when your body puts on more fat, it tends to put it where the fat already is. So yeah, you physically suck out your fat and then put it somewhere else, and then your body will put the fat there instead. But it is... Dude, I don't know if y'all remember Steph Sanyati. Steph Sanyati she's a trans woman. She's still a creator. She just does World of Warcraft stuff now and like video game stuff. And she doesn't really talk about her trans identity anymore. I mean, she is still publicly trans, duh. But she posted like I know everything I know about facial feminization surgery because Steph posted like raw footage of not like her literally in surgery, but her like, you know, how fucked up her face looked after the fact and like her entire recovery process. And she also documented her BBL. And Steph at that point was like, I've had a breast augmentation, I've had facial feminization surgery, I had a BBL, and the BBL was like by far the most fucked up procedure that I've done. Apparently it hurts so bad and is like super scary, and it's really disgusting. Like, I think she posted a video of them actually sucking the fat out and putting it back where it's supposed to go. And they're like rough. And then you are covered in bruises. Like this entire part of your body is just all one big bruise. And yeah, and you can't sit. If they put any of it in your ass, then you can't sit down for like 6 weeks or something. Like you have to lay on your tummy or something. And dude, it's the most brutal surgery I've ever seen and the most brutal recovery I think I have seen. And FFS is fucking brutal. So like for me to be like BBL is even more brutal than FFS, it's brutal. "90 degrees outside and I'm having hot chocolate." Leah, I think you might be a little bit insane. But, you know, do whatever makes you happy, babe. Ben says, people say, oh, it's normal to lie in your resume interview or whatever, and my neurodivergent ass does not understand what that means. I don't understand that either, to be completely honest. It's like, I think I would be willing to omit information. Like if I applied to a job recently, and it's like, you don't need to know about every job I've ever had. You don't need to know that I was let go from the most recent job that I had. You know, like if it wasn't relevant to this job, like why do you need to know that? So I can understand like omitting things, but just straight up lying. Like okay, so I follow this bartender on YouTube. His name is Mike MGTV. And he's been on like reality TV shows and stuff. He's kind of a disaster, but that's why we like him. And he said like when he got his first bartending job, because when he was younger, he was like underage drinking, doing things he shouldn't have been doing, but he knew all the names of these bars that had closed. And so when he started applying for jobs as a bartender, he just lied and said that he worked at these bars that have closed down. So you can't call and check what's going on with that. Like, and he had zero bartending experience. Like he got his first bartender job and someone would order a drink that he didn't know how to make, and he'd be like, oh, I just need to go get something in the back for that one. I just need to get something. And he would go in the back and on his phone figure out how to make the drink and then come back and make the drink. And I'm like, honestly, kind of iconic. Like, I'm not saying I would do that, but it is kind of iconic. Ben says, somehow I still have that more body fat percentage equals bad programming and I hate it. And being in the fitness world, its standards don't help. I'm still trying to embrace the powerlifting push and cushion. Yeah, my thing right now that sucks is like I would love to be way more muscular, but in order to put on muscle, you have to be bulking. Basically, like you have to have a calorie surplus, but I'm trying to lose body fat right now. You can't do both at the same time. You can't be in a deficit and build muscle at the same time. Like you can't lose fat and build muscle at the same time. It's technically possible, but I don't think it's actually possible for someone with an estrogen endocrine system who's on birth control. Like I don't think. Sam says, I get that you can't call and check the bars that have closed down, but wouldn't people know people who worked there previously? I would be scared of getting caught in a lie. Truly, yeah. Like, I can't do things... Like, if I'm ever in a situation where my partner is like, have you been cheating on me? I'm like, I wouldn't be able to function. If I was doing something that I needed to hide... Like, if I'm actively doing something that I need to hide from someone, I would not be able... I would be, like... a mess all the time. I would be stressed constantly. There's no way that I could be like cheating on my partner and not have it be like obvious, or like there's no way that I could be lying about my performance at a job without it becoming obvious. Like I'm just not a good liar. I can't maintain lies. So yeah, I can see stretching the truth possibly or omitting things, but I can't imagine straight up fucking lying in a job. That would be crazy. Drea says being a terrible liar is a superpower. Really? You view it as a superpower? Fen says you can do body recomp, i.e. you can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. You just eat at your maintenance calories. It's just slow as fuck. Being someone who's just starting helps, but it's way slower than people advertise, and it can be frustrating. Yeah. So I'm just trying to lose 5 pounds. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just changing my diet. I'm implementing exercise in a way that's a lot less insane than what I was doing before. I'm trying to do like between 10 and 20 minutes of recumbent bike in the morning. And I'm trying to do other things now. Like I pulled out my bow the other day and I'm like, I'm just going to start like doing this and do it on both sides even, and just get like my back muscles and use something practical. Or like I've been you can dry cycle your gun. Like if you want practice, like firing your gun, but you don't have ammo or you don't have a gun range or whatever, like you can, if you make sure your gun is completely empty with a pistol anyway, you can like basically fire it and cycle it and fire it and cycle it and kind of get into like a feeling of familiarity with your weapon, even if you aren't actively practicing your sharpshooting. And what that does is like, that is a shoulder exercise. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just kind of trying to implement some things like that instead of what I was doing before. And we're just trying to lose 5 pounds. That's all we're trying to do. I've been trying to gain weight for a few years and just can't seem to put on any weight at all. It's super frustrating. Ooh, yeah, my partner had that for a long time. And he's now 35 and he's like, look at my belly fat. I have belly fat. I've always wanted belly fat. I've never been able to put on body fat in my life. So it's maybe just like a metabolism changes as you get older thing. He burns so much energy. I do not understand it. Okay, Sam says, I have stretched the truth when applying for a job. Like if I had responsibilities of a higher position but didn't actually have the position, I will say I did anyway and focus on the experience. But I do always make sure to let my reference know so they will corroborate the information. Totally. That makes it sense. That makes sense. Literally me with the same amount of weight, bruh. It seems like my body wants it there. I mean, that's actually I think that is actually the case. Our bodies cling to a certain weight within about 5 pounds. So it's like, look, if my body has now decided that I need to weigh 160 pounds instead of like 130 pounds, which was the norm throughout my entire 20s, like, okay, if I just start lifting now, will that, like, if I start bulking, will I stay around 160 and I'll like gradually lose the fat because my body's trying to cling to a certain range? I don't know. I love the idea of getting your reference to lie for you, though. That's pretty funny. Kitty Tick says, I'm an amazing liar. I'm just exhausted from an Oscar-worthy performance for 20 years of my life in the closet, I assume is what you mean. I'm all lied out. Totally. Blue says, I got to lie at jobs because of my disability. Got to tell them that I'm the opposite of what I am to get by. When I am actually a shy and anxiety-filled person. I can relate to your husband. Yeah, he was just like, I'm a little bit like, oh man, I miss your abs a little bit, but you know, having a little bit of body fat's probably healthier. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Ah. Drea says, I find most lying is rarely beneficial. I may have read too many books whose only driving the story is people not being honest with themselves and those around them. Yeah. I do obviously think that there is a balance where, like, if you're compulsively honest and you're saying things that are getting yourself in trouble or things that are ruining your relationships when you could just tactfully not say anything, you know, there is a point where, like, telling the truth can be harmful, or telling the truth without any softening or caveats could be detrimental. I'm actually really curious if there is any research around the set point theory, which is what Fen and I are talking about, like the idea that you're not losing weight because your body is trying to stay at a certain weight. Or like, yeah, like if you start eating less, then your body will just downregulate your metabolism so that you're burning less and then you stay at the same weight. It's like there is some like, what is Cleveland Clinic has an article about it. Okay, well, I don't think that... I'm like trying to read this article and I'm like, I don't really want to read about obesity. I feel like obesity is not in the range of things that I want to talk about. Okay, set point theory is a scientific explanation for this phenomenon where you're having trouble losing weight. It says your body mounts a defense to keep you from losing weight. The idea is basically that your body fights tooth and nail to keep the weight on, thinking that it's doing you a favor. Dr. Griebler says, what we see all the time is that people will change their diet and exercise to lose weight, and maybe they will lose some weight at first, but then their weight will hit a plateau and get stuck there. That's because there's a difference between losing weight and changing your set point. If you're going to have lasting weight loss, you need to change your set point. How? Every time there's an opportunity, your body will try to defend you from losing weight because it's trying to protect you from starvation. In terms of human evolution, starvation was one of the greatest threats to humanity since the beginning, of course. And actually, the reason why we have persisted when other hominid species didn't persist is that they had very inefficient bodies that would create a lot of excess heat and inflammation. And so we outcompeted other hominids people think that it's because like, oh, we killed all of them or whatever, and like there was some amount of competition, but also there was interbreeding, so you can't say that it was strictly a competition problem. But actually it seems like hominids, other hominids were like, they just were inefficient metabolism, and we survived because we could eat the small amount of food available, and we weren't like burning all these excess calories by having like a higher body temperature and stuff like this. Tima says, I lie a lot, even when I don't mean to, and it's really hard to stop or even notice it sometimes. Yeah, compulsive lying is really interesting to me. There's this YouTuber I watched some of her stuff because she made some videos that were like top 10 or top 20 worst characters in Harry Potter or whatever. Caroline something. Caroline. Yeah, Caroline Easom. I don't know if you guys have seen her before. She does these videos that are like top 30 worst characters in Harry Potter. It's very fun. But she also made a video about Caroline Easom AITA. It was Am I the Asshole? Am I the Asshole for lying on the internet? And in these two videos, 10 allegedly fake Reddit posts, she basically goes in and says, here's all the Am I the Asshole posts. She's coming at this from someone who was a compulsive liar as a child. Yeah, I'll link the thing that I was just reading. Give me a second. I'll get back to it. But she was basically like, here's why I think all these posts are lies. And now anytime I'm reading or watching an Am I the Asshole, I'm like, one of the things she points out is like, anytime the family is split, anytime they say, well, you know, my family is split, some of them agree with me and some of them think I'm wrong, is like, something about that is like, that's a lie. She hears it and she's like, that sounds a lot like the stories I used to tell. And I obviously can't relate to this at all because I was not I've never been a compulsive liar or anything. Here's that Cleveland thing that I was looking at. But so to finish this, so yeah, our bodies have apparently adapted to protect us from the threat of starvation. Our evolution created pathways to ensure when our caloric intake drops from the levels our bodies are accustomed to, we could continue to function by holding on to the calories that we are taking in, which is, I think, why your body downshifts your metabolism. So if you're trying to lose weight, how do you overcome this evolutionary adaptation? We have to remember that your body reacts and will behave differently on the journey to weight loss. That's not a surprise, but it is frustrating for people when they hit those weight loss plateaus and their methods for weight loss aren't showing them results anymore. He adds that while diet and exercise alone may not be enough, they are still an important part of the equation. So if you're trying to change your set point, this Cleveland Clinic article recommends, it's complicated. In order to achieve long-term weight loss, you need to convince your body that you're safe and healthy at a lower weight. The good news is that it is possible to change your set point, especially if your healthcare provider is on your side. So diet. The key is that you should be eating nutritious foods like lean proteins and lots of fruits and veggies, such as the Mediterranean diet. But don't limit your caloric intake too much too fast. Your set point kicks in to stop you from starving, so if you hyper-restrict your diet, your body is going to think you're in danger and will send in the hunger hormones to try to fight against it. Right, so you'll be hungry, and then you'll eat, and like then it throws off your dieting or whatever. Exercise, you know that exercise is important. It's an important way to change your set point, and the kind of exercise matters, apparently. When you exercise, you burn calories, of course, but also there is a potential for muscle mass preservation and to gain muscle mass. Preserving and adding muscle mass will change your metabolic rate and help change your set point. Yeah, I know this. Like, yeah, muscle burns calories faster than fat does. So the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is. So yeah, I guess like if you were to put on a bunch of muscle mass, that will lower your set point. Strength training exercises like lifting weights can be beneficial. Your BMI can increase as you gain muscle, duh, because muscle weighs more than fat, duh. Okay. So honestly, this is basically suggesting that instead of being concerned for your weight, you should just put on more muscle. And like focus on having like a healthy sleep and healthy diet. So it's like maybe we shouldn't even care about these numbers, you know? Okay, Kitty says my mom got pretty overweight when she had lupus and fibro. I guess she probably still has both of those. The wheelchair really hurt her ability to move, obviously. When she got moving again, she lost about 100 pounds, but she was still up 60 from before she got sick. 2 more years and she could walk a lot further, but still hasn't lost any of the weight. Her nutritionist told her, your body has what it considers to be a healthy weight. Sometimes we have to just be okay with good movement and strength, and she's been a lot happier since she just became focused on the mobility and not the weight. That's fair. I think that's reasonable, you know, that like you can't look like a Hollywood movie star because first of all, you're not going to dehydrate yourself like that. You don't have a professional trainer. You can't afford the world's best diet or anything. So yeah, like unless you are training for a role or training for some specific thing, like maybe we shouldn't give a shit how fat we are. This is my super high protein pudding that I made earlier and now it's been 2 hours. Whoa. Drea says, I think the worst form of lying is pretending you're okay when you're not. Without facing these issues, they don't get resolved, and it ends up hurting you and potentially everyone around you. The words, I'm fine, make me cringe. Honestly, this might be part of the problem that I'm having, like why my stress remains so high. Because I don't really talk about my issues. I mean, like, you know, I just have that. This is the dragon's mindset as I view it. I just have this mindset, like, is there something I can do to fix the problem? If there is, then let's talk about doing that thing and then do that thing. If there isn't a solution, then I genuinely do find it kind of pointless to have a conversation about it. And this has led to a situation where, like, yeah, like I'm struggling about the political situation. And I also haven't taught my partner how to be supportive to me in this way. So I feel terrible or I'll be upset about something and I don't even tell him. I don't tell anyone because I'm like, nobody can solve this problem. Like, oh yeah, Trump is stripping more people of their rights and, you know, fascism is happening and everything. And I'm like, there's nothing we can do about that. So I'm going to just stop thinking about it. That's my solution to the problem. Just stop thinking about it. I don't talk to anyone. I don't commiserate with my friends about it. I just don't. And I think that that's probably profoundly unhealthy. And it is a form of dishonesty if you're like hiding that you're struggling from people that you care about. I know, Bastille, I know. Even if there's no solution, it helps just to talk about your feelings on it. I know that in an abstract sense. I just don't wanna. I'm like, I don't wanna. Is kind of what I'm just like, nah. That's literally the level of thought that goes into my feelings about that. Is just like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm like, you know that you're being unreasonable. And I'm like, yeah, well, being vulnerable is scary and I'm not gonna do it. Just like, okay. I'm possessed by a demon that hates me. Another simple statement you can use is don't diet, change your diet. Change out one unhealthy food for a healthy food in the similar caloric portion every week or two until your diet is 75% healthy. Then just also have some enjoyment in your diet too. Stop eating when you're no longer hungry. Do at least 1 mile of walking a day if you can, and your body will find a healthy place. Yeah, I have to say, so I've started getting stuff like this where it's a cookie, but it's a protein cookie. And so it has like 15 grams of protein in it. So it's like, oh, I'm able to eat a cookie. Obviously, they're expensive compared to like regular cookies, but this, and I actually have some Halo Top ice cream in the freezer right now, which is ice cream that's protein ice cream. It's like supposed to be healthier, like lower sugar, lower calories or something. So like, I do think that's really important. If you're trying to change what you're eating, or if you're trying to make healthier choices at all, you do have to be willing to, or you have to be able to fit in those things. Like, okay, so this, it's just looking gross right now because it's been sitting here for a while. But so this is Greek yogurt. So mostly it's a like low-fat, high-protein yogurt. That's the main thing. 1 scoop of chocolate protein powder. It's like 31 grams of protein powder. Ends up being, it's like 20-something grams of protein in it. And then I do powdered peanut butter and chia seeds and approximately 10 grams of Hershey's chocolate syrup to make it taste good. So this is like a super high protein, low fat, low carb chocolate pudding, basically, that I have for breakfast all the time. So it's like, oh, look at that. I got my chocolate and sweets fix right at the beginning of the day. And then, oh, later if I'm like, oh, I'm still craving sweets, boom, I have a Quest cookie, or boom, I have a Halo Top ice cream. Or even my protein bars. I buy RX bar protein bars, and they have like giant chunks of chocolate in them, and they're made with like dates and egg whites. So there's all this wonderful, texture and sweetness. Yeah, definitely makes it easier to, if you enjoy what you're eating, it's such a big difference. The next bodyweight exercise is to talk about feelings in order to feel them fully instead of intellectualizing them. Yeah, hold on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find what I'm looking for. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Man, I'm not going to be able to find what I'm looking for. There's this comic that I saw one time. It was a person... It was like all these different tough guys, the big muscles, and then one of them was like... It was like a small guy being vulnerable with his feelings, and the big tough guys were like, now that's real strength. Like, I don't know. It was fucking stupid, but I just thought it was funny, and I was reminded of it in this moment. Oh, B.E. Rhodes has a really interesting suggestion. While it's not for everyone, something that's helped me is that I eat whatever I want, but I have to cook it from scratch. And it turns out salad is way easier to make than peach cobbler. Dude, that's a fucking legit idea. I love that. That's totally fair. Like, instead of buying cookies, you're like, oh, if I want cookies, I have to bake them. That's an excellent deterrent. I think I would starve if I did that to myself. Also, I haven't been eating salads very much recently because I'm so freaked out by all of the fucking listeria and disease outbreaks happening that I don't really eat a lot of raw vegetables, but I love salads so much. I almost want to see if I can find, like, maybe I should just go to the farmer's market and try to find somebody who has a greenhouse and grows salad in their greenhouse, because I miss, like, the crunchiness of a leafy salad. So delicious. Counterpoint, cheese and crackers is easier than salad. But that's the rule. You can't eat the crackers unless you make them from scratch, right? Also, you can't eat the cheese unless you make it from scratch. Dude, actually, I'm so fascinated by the idea of making cheese. I would absolutely love to, it's on my wish list, or like my bucket list for this year, for 2025 bucket list. I want to make cheese at home. And apparently it's like super easy to make mozzarella cheese. You could grow your own veggies. Girl, I haven't been out to my garden plot in like literally a month. It's just like I have to fucking walk there and then work in the garden and then walk home, and it's a huge pain in the ass, and it's like a huge thing in the way. And I'm just not, I am discovering that I will not work in the garden unless I can drive there, which is so frustrating. I feel really bad about, like, I had all this gusto to do it, and now I'm like, wow, I fucking hate going there. Like, I want my car. And it's like far enough away that I can't reasonably walk there, and it's not far enough away for me to be able to take the bus. Like, it's a really irritating situation, actually. I'm deeply, deeply irritated. Sam points out people with ADHD are more likely to emotionally eat and more likely to use sugar and caffeine to self-medicate. ADHD also makes cravings stronger and you need more of the thing to satisfy the craving. Yeah, I mean, is there like research, like, is ADHD actually a dopamine regulation problem? Is like, I think that depression is fake in the sense that they keep telling you, oh, depression is a problem with your serotonin in your brain, but I actually think that it's fake and that there isn't actually any research that suggests that. I haven't really looked into it deeply enough, but I do actually think that ADHD might be largely a dopamine regulation problem, like actually. So yeah, it does seem like there is a connection. Yeah, dopamine levels may be a factor in the development of ADHD. Medications that target dopamine receptors often relieve symptoms. These findings... Oh, so there are findings that question the previously accepted view that major abnormalities in dopamine function are the main cause of ADHD in adult patients. Okay, fascinating. This says... this is from NIH... People with ADHD have at least one defective gene, the DRD2 gene, which makes it difficult for neurons to respond to dopamine. Okay. So there's conflicting research on this. But basically, I've heard the same, that people with ADHD are more prone to stress eating, basically like it's a seeking behavior. It's a dopamine seeking behavior. When I have a new house, I will make my own mozzarella and sourdough all the time from scratch starters I have crafted. Can you make mozzarella with a starter? I thought it was just like you get milk and rennet and put it in a pot. Technically, my sourdough is a 6-year-old one that my mom sent me, which has been living slowly in the freezer for 2 years. Dude, I have my kombucha right now. Just speaking of, like, you know, cultures of tiny beings that I'm keeping alive on purpose. It's been, like, more than 2 weeks since I started this first fermentation of this kombucha, and it's taking forever. It's like I'm trying to get it into the 3.5 pH, and it's just stuck at 4. I'm like, I think it's too cold in my house. Like, just, you know, because I have to keep it cool in here or I will die. So I have to keep it relatively cool in here, and I just think that my kombucha doesn't like it very much. Sad. Baby Squid says, I got really into cheese making at the start of the year, and it was going really well, but all the cheeses I've made developed a horrible taste. After a lengthy process of elimination, I realized it was the ambient plastic smell of the ripening fridge I was using that was permeating the cheese. Very disappointing. Oh. Bellamy. Keeping tiny beings for gain? You mean slavery? True. My yeast slaves. Hold on, what bacteria are in kombucha? So I have some slave yeast, I have slave Comagete-bacter, I have slave Licorylactobacillus, I have some slave Gluconobacter, I have some slave Onococcus oni. They're my slaves in my kitchen, it's true. Mersh says there's research that ADHD might be mostly due to brain structure rather than neurochemicals, a thinner corpus callosum in people with ADHD. Really? Huh. Okay, there is an association between corpus callosum size and ADHD symptoms. Corpus callosum is the thing that divides your brain into two halves, right? It's like the thing in between your two halves of your brain. Neuroimaging studies of attention deficit disorder have revealed deviations of the corpus callosum in children and adolescents. However, little is known about the link between callosal morphology and symptoms of inattention or hyperactivity in adulthood, especially later in life. Here, we've investigated a large population-based sample of 280 adults consisting of 150 males and 130 females in their late 60s and early 70s regarding whether ADHD symptoms correlate with callosal thickness. In addition, we tested for significant sex interactions, which were followed by correlation analyses stratified by sex. Within males, there were significant negative correlations with respect to inattention and hyperactivity in various callosal regions, including the anterior third, anterior and posterior midbody, isthmus, and splenium. A thinner corpus callosum may be associated with fewer fibers or less myelination of fibers. Thus, the observed negative correlations suggest impaired interhemispheric communication channels necessary to sustain motor control and attention, which may contribute to symptoms of hyperactivity, impulsivity, or inattention. Interestingly, within females, callosal thickness was positively correlated to hyperactivity in a small area within the rostral body, suggesting a sexually dimorphic neurobiology of ADHD symptoms. Altogether, the present results may reflect a lasting relationship between callosal morphology and ADHD symptoms throughout life. That is fascinating. It's interesting. There was a negative association between inattention and callosal region thickness with males, but within females there was a positive, which kind of makes me think that we would need to get a lot more information on this before we could come to any like hard line conclusions. Obviously, anything that's like a problem with your brain is going to be multifaceted. Like it may be a little bit of this neurotransmitter, it may be a little bit of this brain structure, it may have a little bit to do with how you were raised or whatever. Obviously quite complex, like psychosocial, and like a lot of the symptoms that we're measuring your social difficulties, rather than like measuring your actual internal experience of distress. So yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting and still yet more to be learned. So much yet more to be learned. I thought of it and put my little garden project in Feed the Dragon. 3 different styles of garden. Absolutely. We're going to take a minute to look at that. Ba-da-da-dum. Ba-da-da-dum. Where did you put them? Feed the Dragon. I found it. Oh my god, these fucking babies. Okay, we're gonna look at these. We're gonna look at these fucking plants. You ready to look at these fucking plants? Plant. I don't know why this one is all grainy. The other ones weren't. I don't think that's your fault. I think it's my fault for how I opened the picture. Plant. Those are tomatoes. Or peppers? Maybe a little bit of both. Tomatoes and peppers? They look like tomatoes to me. Tomatoes. This is some kind of vine or squash. Or sorry, yeah, this is like a pumpkin or a squash or something right here. This looks like another tomato or pepper. Either one. What do we got over here? What do we got over here? These are more tomatoes, I think. And you got some leafy things over here. I see this little pale green leafy. Is that some kind of lettuce? That's so cool. I like that you've got a little garden going on. I wish that I had more of a garden going on. I'm really disappointed in myself and my inability to get this stuff done this year. But this is a really tightly packed. Okay, so this is some kind of squash. Let me see if I can get this to open in a way that is a little bit less blurry. There we go. I don't know why it was so blurry before. Okay. Now, whoop. Come back. Okay. It's a cucumber. Oh, okay, cucumber. Okay, so yeah, this is like a squash. This is some... Ooh, these... You've got little daisy flowers in here. Is this radishes? No, radishes don't have white flowers. What is this? Or no, that's like a pepper. That's a pepper or a tomato. And then, what do you got over here? You got corn. Got corn growing over here. What are these little guys? These guys look like... Is that soy? Are you growing soy right next to the corn? That's so cool. Is this a green... This is a Three Sisters garden? That's neat. Weeds went crazy from the rain. Yeah, totally. I was like, that's a really tightly packed vegetable garden. I've sent you pics of my garden, but not the fart cat. He does not deserve a pic today. I mean, sure. Potatoes. Oh, potatoes right next to the corn. Okay. Cute. There are some potatoes in my plot. That's so nice. There's also theories that ADHD might have to do with testosterone levels during different stages of development. And also, there are genetic mechanisms which cause the ADHD to express itself amongst individuals. Yeah, totally. Considering the treatment for ADHD is stimulants, which act on the serotonin receptors in the brain to make dopamine more easy to absorb, I feel like that doesn't make sense. Most depression is likely tied to overuse of various stimulants, which can wear out the dopamine and serotonin receptors, so you literally can't feel happy anymore, so you think you're sad. I have personal experience with 3 months of daily Molly use, ending in me taking more than 2 grams daily for 10 days. Once the world started spinning randomly, I quit and spent the next 5 years coming back from it and finally feel a little bit better. I think long-term overuse of caffeine culturally might be one of the things tied to the high rate of reported depression, but it is hard to get new studies done about caffeine. The energy drink industry hit $100 billion globally recently. There are a few studies from years ago pointing that way, though. That's so interesting. Like that you could basically overload your brain's ability to even use those receptors by like overusing them, and that they might take time to heal. That's fascinating. I guess it feels good that I'm like, I don't even consume caffeine every day anymore. I'm more of a tea person than a coffee person now. Shout out to my coffee people. I'm just not doing it. Not that I'm complaining, but what was the box for auctioning Buff Mommy? Oh, okay. So this is... Oh, did that not get added earlier? Oh, I went to add the goal of $5, or like, Noah, you gave a $5 donation, and it just didn't take. There we go. Now it's on there. Anyway, that's my stream donation goal. I'm a small time streamer. I just try to make like $100 per stream. So if I can get like $100 in donations in today's stream, then I will flex my Buff Mommy muscles. I know that everybody's like about to pay rent, so there might not be a lot of donations today, and that's totally fine. But yo, this is my full-time job. We're about to get to 69 likes too. Can we do that? Do you think we can do that? Can we get to 69 likes? Mickey just dropped in to leave a like and then leave. Bye! Have a good rest of your day, Mickey. Oh, serotonin and dopamine receptors are tied to each other and use each other for communication purposes. Okay, I can see that making a little bit of sense. I do home cooking exclusively. My Italian mom and grandma taught me. We have home cooked meals pretty much most days of the week for dinner. I don't do cooking all day long. Like, it's just not practical for me, but I will do things like I'll boil 10 eggs all at once, and then I'll eat like 2 eggs a day for the next 5 days, you know? I do think home cooking is a great way to prevent yourself from overeating, especially because, like, okay, if you go, we go out to eat, or like, my partner and I will be running errands, and he'll be like, dude, I'm really feeling a burger. Do you want to get some food on the way home? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. And I'll get like a spicy chicken sandwich that's 550 calories or whatever. And it's like, it's not really satiating. You just end up hungry later, even though you ate functionally a lot. Because like every fast food place, they're like, let me sell you more food. So they want it to be as tasty as possible, which means that it's loaded with fat and sugar and salt. And it just ends up not being a great option. But if you were to cook a spicy chicken sandwich at your house, it would probably be way less. Like, it would probably be way better for you. No worries, Mabs. We have a very active chat today, so we're good. I know this sounds dumb, but how do I donate on YouTube? Okay, so I will say, YouTube will take somewhere between 30 and 55% of your money. So if you donate to me through a super chat, YouTube will get half of that money almost. But if you come over to my website, which is luxander.net, like luxander.net/donate, you can donate directly to me, and it just takes the PayPal fees. And then I have to pay my website coordinator like 10% of my income, which I actually need to do that this week. So yeah, my website creator gets a portion of it, but so instead of YouTube taking almost half of your donation, if you want it to go to me and the people who make my work possible, then yeah, donating directly through the website is much better. I also don't get super chats until next month. Like, it gets added to my ad revenue payout, and I don't get it until like the 20th of next month. So yeah, it's much more beneficial to donate directly through the website. Paradoxically, it's easier for Drea to not overeat by picking up food to go because food in the house makes me want to eat all the time. Understandable. Fen says I'm a coffee person, but it's more of a flavor thing for me. Yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker daily, but I am really interested to find out if there's anyone in the Willamette Valley who grows their own coffee. Because I think, you know, with the incoming global supply chain disruptions, I'm like, I actually feel like it is really important for us to support like a local coffee grower. Like, hold on, does anyone grow coffee in the Willamette Valley? We did find recently a local coffee company, but they roast the coffee here. But they get it imported. So what I want is like, does anyone grow coffee here? We need it. I don't even care if it's good coffee, but it's like, I'm thinking ahead in 20 years when we don't have coffee anymore. Like, there has to be someone who makes it locally. And I don't even drink coffee every day anymore, but I still think it would be very important to have it. Yeah, YouTube takes somewhere between 30 and 55% of your donations. It takes somewhere between 30 and 55% of my ad revenue. Yeah. Even big channels are struggling right now. I don't know if you guys follow like any of these other YouTubers. Maybe we've already even talked about this recently. You guys know Tom Nicholas? Tom Nicholas is this guy, and he just posted a video that was like, oh, I'm gonna post a really cringe video. This isn't working. And this video is about, like, he goes in and shows you, like, here's how much ad revenue we're making and how it's down from the revenue we used to make. So even when they have a video that does, I think he was referring to this video. This one, Postmodernism is Dead, This Who Killed It, 275,000 views. For a video to get 275,000 views and have that be considered like a failure that you can't maintain, you're like considering letting employees go or having to stop making videos. Like, basically your company is going to fold because even when you get 275,000 views, you're not getting hardly enough in ad revenue to compensate you for like the work that you put in. That shit's crazy. You might have to make do with roasted chicory root, which I'm told is a passable coffee substitute regarding to its flavor, but there's no caffeine. Oh, fascinating. I've heard that like dandelion root is a little energy boosting drink if you roast it. Kitty says, the way I think of stimulants and have come to understand how they work in principle, it's serotonin is go juice, dopamine is happy I went juice. By influencing serotonin receptors, your brain is also more likely to produce dopamine in response to the stimulated system because the two hormones work mostly in concert with each other. Okay, that's fun. In the US, coffee can only be grown commercially in California or Hawaii. Is that true? Like, listen, okay, I'll be driving around here in the Willamette Valley, in the Portland area, and there are people with tropical plants in their yard. And like, I think that there are places where people have banana plants growing in their yard. Like, they have the same big kind of leaves and they are coming up out of the ground in a way that makes me think that it is a banana plant. It's like, can coffee plants grow in Oregon? I'm Googling. The stupid AI response says, no, Oregon's climate is generally unsuitable for growing coffee commercially. Coffee plants thrive in warm, humid, frost-free environments typically found in the tropics and subtropics, not in Oregon's temperate conditions. I feel like, yeah, you could cultivate it in a greenhouse. I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, let's do large-scale commercial production. I'm just saying, like, is there a family farm that has a bunch of coffee growing in a greenhouse that I can support them and get, like, this much coffee in 1 year, you know? Like, that's all I want. That's all I want. Yeah, there are literally fucking palm trees in the Willamette Valley. It's crazy. Serotonin and dopamine also produce a small amount of adrenaline, which raises your blood pressure. Oh, interesting. Yeah, in my tent greenhouse. Like, listen, guys, do you have any, like, okay, listen, I want you to frame this. I want you to think about this for a second. So I'm talking about, like, I want coffee to be available in some form or fashion in the United States if the fall of the empire occurs, right? Or the fall of the global interconnected economy. Think about this. You could get weed for a very long time before there were acceptable commercial options to grow it. There were plenty of people who were growing it in a tent in their, like, a greenhouse that they set up in their closet of their house. Like, I knew some of those people growing up. Like, by I knew, I mean, like, my mother was friends with. But, like, I would go places with my mom. And it's like, oh, yeah, there's this weird closet in this dude's house where he's growing weed. I'm like, okay, cool, you know? That was in Kansas or Missouri when I was a child, so it was definitely not legal then. BE says there are several recipes for coffee from the Civil War. The reviews I've seen of all of them is not good. It's like things that they'll say like boiling burnt sweet potatoes and then drinking that. Yeah. And I'm assuming that it would not be a very high quality product per se. But just that it's like either coffee exists or it doesn't. We should prepare for that eventuality, you know? Maybe when I get a house and a greenhouse, I should grow coffee there myself and, like, kind of create tropical conditions inside one of my greenhouses or something. Drea says, I've tried raising tea plants, not coffee. Did not have a lot of success. I do not have a greenhouse, which I think might be critical. My plants were stressed the whole time I had them until they gave out. Yeah. I know tea is really finicky. That's another question. Like, can tea grow in the US? Okay. So yeah, parts of the Pacific Northwest can support the growth of tea, apparently. What? BE? I'm not from Missouri. I'm from Kansas, but, when you live in Kansas City, you go to either place regularly. Katie says, the way anxiety meds work is by blocking serotonin receptors, which slows you down and dampens your emotional response. It's also why you can't really do slow release and need short half-life point-of-use meds that shouldn't be used for long-term unless used rarely. So anxiety meds will do the same thing as chronic stimulant use, in effect, by stopping your ability to feel happy or awake. Oh, okay, fun. Oh, the coffee substitutes all tasted like shit. Sure, yeah, of course. That would make sense. If you're expecting coffee, like, look, I became a tea drinker quite recently. Ooh, we're so close to 69 likes, by the way. Can we get that? I only became a tea drinker recently. And I tried, there was a while where I was trying to get off of coffee, and I did try to replace it with tea. But the problem is, nothing is going to satisfy you if what you are wanting is coffee. There is nothing that's going to satisfy you. What I ended up doing was drinking decaf coffee. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just drink decaf. It doesn't taste the same, whatever, but it has less caffeine. So I can still get my flavor fix without worrying about the adrenaline problem that I have when I drink too much caffeine. But so now I'm a tea drinker now. Like, I drink tea damn near every day, and I haven't drank coffee in like several weeks. And like, you have to want tea because you want tea. You can't drink tea thinking this is going to substitute coffee for me. It doesn't work that way. So I'm assuming that it's probably pretty similar, where other people are like, oh, you know, we tried this coffee replacement and it's tasted like shit. Well, like, duh. Because you were trying to replicate coffee and nothing tastes like coffee. You just can't get there. It's not the same. So of course people are going to complain about that. They want coffee and they're having fucking roasted chicory root or whatever. I live in a shelter and I'm always stuck with instant coffee. First of all, my sympathies to all of you who are housing insecure. Like, it's wild to me that there are folks in my community that are housing insecure. And it just, you know, it just feels like you're only 1 or 2 degrees separated from somebody who's going through some really bad shit at any given time, you know? But being stuck with instant coffee is like a bummer, but at the same time, it's like, at least there is coffee. Now, you're experiencing the instant coffee in a world where there still is regular coffee. And so you're like, I can't have this other thing that I want and could have if only I had more money. But I'm thinking, like, in the future, like, when we do not have a global supply chain anymore. June, thanks for popping in and saying hi and giving the stream a like. I hope you have a good time on vacation. Hell yeah. Enjoy being somewhere else. Be safe. Wear a mask when you get on the airplane, okay? Guinness Draft Stout tastes quite a bit like coffee. Ooh, okay. I guess I'd rather have instant coffee than sweet potato coffee. That's what I'm saying. If there's like zero access, like literally the product simply does not exist in the United States anymore. If you get a hold of a handful of beans, you're going to be like, huge quality of life thing. There are types of roast malt which are very good at adding coffee-like flavors to dark beers. Oh, yeah, well, I don't actually know if coffee is involved in the making of this. My favorite beer, or one of my favorite beers, is from Mother's Brewing Company, and it's called Winter Grind. It is a... Whoa. Hold on. It's an American stout-style beer from a brewery in Springfield, Missouri. Yes, I'm over the age of 21. Thank you. Does this actually have coffee in it? How is it made? Do they even say? I don't even think they say. It's like, how is this shit made? It's a dry English stout loaded with a big, bright coffee flavor and aroma. We've partnered with our caffeinated compatriots at Brick and Mortar Coffee to delight the senses with a brew that delivers 2 of life's necessities in one deliciously drinkable bottle. Okay, so I do actually think that Winter Grind is made with actual coffee as part of the process. Like, they've partnered with a coffee company to make it. But I guess there are also other kinds of beer that just have, like, coffee notes rather than literally having coffee in it. I've watched your videos and those of others on my phone at night while sleeping in the back of my Subaru. Jiminy Christmas. I hope that y'all can get something figured out soon. I wish that I had more, like, capital to help with those situations. It's like, feels bad to be like, I know someone who's housing insecure, but I can't help. Like, Jesus, it doesn't feel good. Some brewers will add coffee extract to really nail the flavor, but honestly, you can get very close with just roast malts. Okay, cool. Coffee is unfortunately going to be one of those things that will always be available, but the quality will shift from era to era, and it will always utilize essentially modern day slavery. Well, B, I don't know if you're familiar. Like, I speak casually about the inevitable fall of the global supply chain network because it is going to happen. There were, we talk about the Limits to Growth report published in 1972 and how we are still to this day on track with their worst case scenario prediction for what was going to happen to the economy. And if we stay on that track, and in fact things are getting worse now, I believe, than what they had originally predicted, we're talking like the global population of the planet is going to go back down to about 2 billion. There are almost 8 billion people on this planet right now. We are looking at significant numbers of death, and those people are going to largely be in the part of the world where coffee is produced. The global south, where like 5 billion people live currently. So I do actually think that there is a strong possibility that we will end up in a situation where coffee is simply not available or is only available for an extremely high premium, in the same way that like coffee and chocolate used to be like only the King of England can get a hold of that, or only the King of France can get a hold of that because it's so expensive, and then you only get like a small amount. Oh yeah, someone said something about mushroom coffee earlier. Apparently some of the mushroom coffee substitutes are okay. It's not the real thing, but it did make my cravings go away. That's what matters. If I had the money, I would buy us all an island. Yeah, it would be nice. We've surpassed 69 likes. Thank you, everybody. 72 likes. 39 concurrent viewers at this moment. Can we get like one more donation today? At the very minimum, like one more donation. That whole thing sounds fascinating, and I would love to learn more about the global supply chain collapsing. Sure. Hold on one second. I'm looking it up for you guys. So I'm just going to give you guys this to start with, and you can research further into it if you like. The Limits to Growth report, 1972 report out of MIT, which used a computer model to simulate the consequences of interactions between the Earth and human systems. So this came out in 1972. There have been a couple of times where this research has been revisited to see like where are we now? They revisited it sometime in the 2000s or early 2000s, and then again in 2020, a researcher revisited this and showed that like basically we are on the path that this predicted in the worst case scenario. Like they created multiple different models. They created multiple different if we do this, then here's what's going to happen in 50 or 100 years. So one of the models that they created, the so-called worst case scenario model, is basically like, if we continue to prioritize profits and ignore climate change, and we stop trying to invest in people, and like what's going to happen to the economy. And as of 2020, when this research was most recently revisited, we are on track with the predictive model of worst case scenario. And if we basically, the lady who did the research in 2020, hold on, Limits to Growth 2020. Thank you, Karel. That's very sweet. Thank you. One second. I'm going to get to that in just one second. So this was updated in 2020. Oh gosh, is there an article? I read an article about this. Limits to Growth 2020 revisited? I don't know. There was a woman who... Okay, yes. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So this research was revisited in 2020, and the paper was published in 2021. It's called Update to Limits to Growth. It's by Gaia Harrington, following up on Graham Turner's work in The Limits to Growth, published in 1972. Turner found, he originally found, hold on, In her paper, Gaia Harrington has taken 4 of the scenarios from the original report to find out how they are playing out against actual data, and what that means for likely outcomes over the next couple of decades. So basically, she was like, okay, these are the 4 models that of the ones that they created, these are the 4 that she's going to revisit. And basically she found that, like, yeah, actual technological progress is slower somewhat. Okay, she concludes here that there is if we were to do a pretty significant trajectory change brought about by society turning toward another goal than growth is still possible. So, like, basically, like, growth of the economy is being prioritized over everything. So growth. If we turned toward another goal besides growth, it would still be possible to change path. And basically, like, you guys know about how we're at this place with the climate change where even if we suddenly stopped doing all of the things that make climate change happen, we would still be fucked for a while. Like, it would take a while for all the carbon emissions to go away. Like, we would still be having a bad time for a while, even if we went to 0% emissions tonight. So unless we basically do a complete 180, we are on track for things continuing to be bad. Like, and the work implies that this window of opportunity to change things is closing fast. So yeah, like, there's just going to be like a point of no return, and we may have already even been there to some extent on, you know, these climate catastrophes, all of this stuff. So it does seem like, you know, the people in charge, like, even if Kamala Harris had won, and this is why I hate her so much, Kamala Harris wanted to expand fracking and expand domestic oil. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're fucked anyway. Like, we're fucked no matter what happens, because even with or without the fascism, the economy is going to collapse in 20 years. Like, that is what the predictive model is currently on track for. So that's why I talk about things the way I do. And I understand that, like, I guess, like, I'm basing, like, my entire worldview off of this, like, one predictive model, but it is really compelling that we are on track for the same thing for 50 years. You know, for this research to have been established in 1972, for them to have created some predictive models of, like, what would happen if we did this or if we did that. And they're like, okay, if we continue focusing only on growth, wow, if we did that, things would be really bad. And then we revisit the research in 2020, 50 years later, boom, guess what? Things are bad, and they're going to continue to get bad. Okay, thank you, Karel. Even though I don't receive super chats until next month, I will still add it to our stream total for today. But if you want to help me get groceries this week and see Buff Mommy, more donations directly to the website chat would be appreciated. Or directly to the website, not directly to the website chat. That's silly. My feel when the shroom coffee kicks in at work. True! That's so funny. So we're all doomed, but on the brighter side, Fallout 4 in real life. Yay! Okay, question. Has anybody here watched the Fallout series on Amazon Prime? Because I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I'm not sure if I'm going to watch more of it. What do people think? What is the opinion? Is it worth it to me to actually watch all of it? Noah, only I make a fool of me. Bye, Blue. Happy Pride. Oh, this is our last stream of Pride. Whew. Last Pride stream. In order to actually fix climate change, we would have to rein in corporations and engage in active cooling. Oh yeah, we would need to do all kinds of shit to fix the climate change situation, and I don't think it's going to happen. Hello, Mosh. Welcome. Welcome in. I am done. I am in my new flat. Yay! I'm glad you're done moving. Moving is so stressful. Be prepared for it to continue kicking your ass for the next month or 2. I never have to see my ex again. Woo! High five! Yeah. That's exciting. Okay. I have a couple things that I need to get into. I need to talk about Instagram. And I need to talk about Star Wars Andor. I'm not going to spoil anything, I promise, but I do need to get water right now or I'm going to die. So I'm going to go get some water. And you guys should get some water. Make sure you have your snicky snacks if you need some snacks. and I will be back in just a moment, okay? Just a moment. Or hold on. I'm going to do my midstream break, so I will put on the music for you guys. And then I'll come back, and we have some more things we need to talk about. Okay, Jazz Dog. Jazz Dog. Oh, man. Have I not done that before? Have I not done Jazz Dog with Cat Dog before? That's very funny. Jazz Dog. Jazz Dog. I think I have done that before. Anyway, okay, I'll see you in a minute. Rah, 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 rah. The music is still playing, but I'm done with it now. Get out of here. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm back. What's up? Okay, so BE does say that the Fallout show is good. I just love Walton Goggins, like, so much. I'm genuinely at this point in my life where there are certain shows that I'm watching because I'm like, oh, of course I'm gonna watch another season of House of the Dragon. Like, duh, okay, of course I'm gonna do that. Actually, that's not even true. I wasn't going to watch it except for the thing that I was about to say. So anyway, I'm at this point in my life where I definitely will be, I watch shows based on who's going to be in them, or movies or whatever. You know, I'm like, I don't give a shit about the new Avengers movie, but they're going to put Sir Ian McKellen and Sir Patrick Stewart in there. Like, how dare you make me want to see this movie? I do not care about it, but I do care about those actors. So I'm like, okay, I don't really care about Fallout, but I love Walton Goggins so much that I'm like, okay, yeah, I do this shit for the love of the game. Like, all right, baby, let's go. But I don't know, there was some like cacophonous scene and I was trying to play World of Warcraft, so I just like paused it and haven't gone back to it in sometime in episode 2. Yeah, so I'm definitely like, I watch shows and movies based on which actors I like. Is definitely a thing that's happening. But anyway, I wanted to talk about Instagram. All right. And I'm really curious to see what other people's experiences are within this realm. Oh yeah, the other thing that I was going to talk about was Dedra Miro. Okay, we'll get to that. A couple of months ago, I made a new Instagram account that's private. I haven't watched Philosophy Tube new essay, but I know that she put one up. I'll watch it eventually. Instagram. I made a new Instagram a couple months ago, and the purpose of that Instagram account, I guess I was kind of thinking maybe I could use it to post my personal posts and, like, you know, have it be only people who I approve of can follow, so only like my sister-in-law can see my posts. I haven't really been posting there, but I do use it to follow and subscribe to things. So on Instagram, I made this account, and the original purpose of the account was to follow a bunch of local businesses and stuff. Part of it was like, oh, I'm trying to familiarize myself with the city that I live in, and I'm trying to familiarize myself with the valley in general, and I'm trying to familiarize myself with, like, you know, are there going to be any opportunities? Like, I follow a construction company because I was like, oh, maybe these guys will post about a company that my partner could go work for, because we moved up here with no job guarantee for my partner. We just had to figure it out when we got here. So I made this Instagram account, and I followed a bunch of local businesses. Like, I follow like a charcuterie business and like other local accounts. I follow like the city accounts, like the municipal stuff, and like local stuff. And then I also have gradually been following environmental pages, particularly because I guess I started following the environmental stuff before I really decided that I was going to get a job in it. Because I was just like, oh yeah, of course. Like, I want to know about the Parks Service, and I want to know about what's going on in the local area. And so I follow a bunch of environmental accounts also. And there was like maybe only once or maybe twice where a trans related post popped up in my feed, and it was like a trans positive post, and I was like, boop, not interested. I just told it like, boop, I'm not interested in that. And it basically hasn't shown me very much pro-trans content since then. It was like, cool, got it. I understand that you don't like watching trans joy. And it was just because I don't want to watch any trans bullshit on my Instagram account that I just made. I'm like, I am tired of this politics stuff. Like, I don't want to deal with it. I guess I did, like, I followed Tina Kotek, who's the governor, because she's my governor. And, like, if I want to know what's happening locally, then, like, yeah, following the governor makes sense. I don't know if it was that. I don't know what mistake I made that has fucking destroyed my Instagram and made it functionally unusable. Like, okay, I'm gonna just open it right now, okay? And I want you to understand that I've already been trying to tell Instagram that I don't want to see this content, okay? And we'll just see how much of it and I think I even told it earlier not to show me any suggested posts for the next 30 days. And then I was scrolling later and it fucking did it anyway. So in the suggested posts that it keeps doing, I'm going to scroll until it does what I mean for it to do. Like maybe it finally received the message when I was like, don't show me any suggested posts for 30 days. Maybe it's finally figured it out. But like, okay, there's a Planned Parenthood post. I've interacted with a couple Planned Parenthood posts in an attempt to teach this Instagram, like, stop fucking showing me right-wing stuff. Because that's the thing, is it's been showing me a bunch of explicitly right-wing stuff in the suggested for you. I'm like, literally, I follow a bunch of environmental organizations, which are left-wing. Otherwise, I have a lot of apolitical things that I follow, or like, oh, I follow this black dude with a garden. Like, I feel like the garden plus the black dude might be an indicator that I don't give a shit about fucking... Okay, it's not going to show me any right now because it finally understood. So I had to say, don't give me any suggested posts for 30 days. I still get sponsored posts, but I had to say, don't give me any suggested posts for 30 days because almost every suggested post was right-wing propaganda. And I just followed Zoran Mamdani today, so I keep seeing a bunch of his shit on my timelines, like pretty much just all Zoran right now. But I would just be scrolling, and I would see like, oh, here's that black dude with the garden. Oh, here's that archaeologist that I follow. And then it would be like, the Heritage Foundation. Like, the literal Heritage Foundation. Michael Knowles. Literal, actual Michael Knowles. Charlie Kirk. Those are just the specific accounts that I can remember, because it also showed me, like, at least a couple dozen, like, anti-vax stuff celebrating RFK Jr., stuff like Senate GOP, or yeah, like Oregon Senate GOP. Like, why the fuck do you think I want to see that? And I've hit not interested, not interested, not interested. Don't show me posts from that account. And like, it really annoys me that you can't just block accounts from the Instagram main page. I really feel like you should be able to block accounts from the main page, but no, I have to navigate to their profile. And like, maybe part of the problem is that I keep landing on these posts and going like, what is this? Like, and I read it a little bit and I'm like, who is this? Like, what political message does this even have? And I might have to actually read it and like spend time looking at it in order to even understand what it is trying to say. And then I'll be like, not interested. Don't show me content. Like, don't show me that content. And it would just keep doing it. I would tell it, don't suggest posts from this account. And then I would scroll for another 3 minutes and there would be another post from their account. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't get it. Like, this is a new Instagram account as of a couple months ago. Okay. I've just now gotten to you're all caught up. You've seen all new posts from the past 3 days of all the accounts that I follow. Okay. Now we're in suggested posts. Okay, we have Miss Punny Penny. That seems pretty innocent. Camellia Patisserie, pretty innocent. Someone doing DIY stuff? Okay, seems innocent. A goat video? Okay, cool. Got it. A dog video? Okay. A sponsored post. Cats Cafe? Okay. Oh, here we have a positive disability post. Okay, maybe it's fucking learning something, but I'm genuinely like, the last 2 or 3 days, I have not been able to use my Instagram for its intended purpose, which is I just want to relax and scroll some stuff that isn't gonna piss me off or like upset me in any way. The goal was like just to watch stuff. I'm like, literally, I told it not to show me trans joy posts because I'm like, I don't want to see anything trans related on this account. I still follow some newspapers. Like, I follow the Oregonian, so I do see some anti-trans news occasionally. Oh, there we go. TPUSA Faith immediately after the positive. Okay, here's somebody who's like, one of the most annoying things about trying to go to the grocery store with a wheelchair. Okay, cool. Pretty simple post. Oh, immediately, TPUSA Faith. That's a sponsored post. Yeah, Instagram knew I was going to do this rant and was like, yeah, now let's fix it. It's like when my partner, his phone is like fucking up and then he tries to show me what it's doing and it just functions normally. And he's like, oh, great, perfect. Like, it just makes him feel crazy a little bit. Okay, there was TPUSA. That's a sponsored post. One of D'Angelo Wallace's last videos was this happening to him on X, formerly Twitter. Yeah. Okay, so after TPUSA, okay, here's a post about damaged concrete. Okay, interesting. Here's a crow picture. Okay, we got crow. Respect America. I don't know. This is a sponsored post from an account called Respect America. We tell real-life stories to help illustrate violence, theft, and coercion are morally intolerable mechanisms for solving social problems. It's like, you see that they talk in vague terms like that, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that this is a pro-police thing, but let me look into it a little bit further. Okay. This says, it's wrong to hurt people and take their stuff. Hashtag free will, hashtag liberty. I think that this is against taxes. I think that this is like stealing people, like people are saying it's stealing to take taxes. I don't know. It's sometimes they do this where they're like, we're trying to obfuscate what we're really about, and it's hard to tell whether they're right-wing or left-wing. Having worked in IT, I would just tell people that computers understand they should behave when IT is around. Okay, so that one... I do think that accounts on Instagram do this thing where it's like hard to tell whether they're right-wing or left-wing, and if it's hard to tell whether they're right-wing or left-wing, then you know that they're right-wing. They're trying to slip something in. Okay, here we have a dog moment. Okay, cute. Here's a person who makes wigs. All right, cool. That's nice. Okay, I just realized what I was accidentally feeding my... Oh, I've seen this video before, that she just planted the wrong plant. Okay, that's not gross or weird. Here's a dog post. This is a post about a wedding. Okay, cool. Here we have a clip from Netflix. That happens sometimes. So hey, it's Gilly. This is another movie clip. I sit there and watch movie clips, so that kind of makes sense. Okay, we have a horse video. We have a video of someone cosplaying Edna Mode. Okay, cute. We have a garden video. Oh, Heartbeat International. So we have a pro-life post. Pro-life. Truly remarkable the difference a few weeks makes. Just been a very confusing time, but I think I'm learning I can't control anything. To trust God fully. Yeah, so like we need to... okay, this actually says another life saved through abortion pill reversal. That's not... that doesn't work. Okay, there's a crocheter... Okay, this is some Bible thing. A sponsored post from something called the Shara Project, which is a Bible thing. We have a cat video. Someone who's about to get dressed in a corset and a full glam gown. Okay, cool. Holocaust Museum, LA. Okay, interesting. That's also sponsored. Here's a cat video. That's an account called Ship, which I haven't seen before. Like, I want you to understand that this was like every second post or every third post. I have gone through and literally blocked a lot of these accounts. Like, I'll be like, not interested. And then I'll be like, don't show me posts from this account. And then I'll go in and block. Or it was Michael Knowles and I was just like, literally block that dude. Are you fucking kidding me? But yeah, watch We the Free. That looks weirdly conservative. Like, I'm just gonna scroll. Okay, service dog. Something about Pedro Pascal. Somebody... Oh, we have a sponsored post about... Oh, what are they called? What are the plane trails called? Chemtrails? They're not actually chemtrails, I understand that. But, like, so we have a post scaremongering about chemtrails. It's just a picture of, like, the sky and, like, a bunch... Or, like, a video of the sky and a bunch of airplane vapor trails. And it says, what in the world are they spraying in the caption? So, like, okay, that is a scaremongering conspiracy post. Like, it's... Like, there's just so much shit like this on here. And, like, how many times do I need to tell it I'm not interested in this shit? This is the first time I've sat there and really looked at any of this stuff without, like... Just in talking to you, I haven't been telling it not interested, but every single time I come across one of these stupid fucking conservative posts, I'm like, not interested. And sometimes it gives the option to say contrails. Thank you. I keep telling... Oh, here's a post from a page called Enlightened Woman. You know that one's fucking weird. Oh, it's the red flag guy. He finally showed up on my timeline. Do I actually follow him already? No, I don't. So yeah, basically like Instagram, and I don't know if this is happening on Facebook because I've had a Facebook account for like 17 years or something. Like I've had a Facebook account for almost as long as it's possible to have had one. And so it knows me. You know, on Facebook, I get left-wing stuff. I get agitprop, you know, I get cute animal videos, you know, like my Facebook, I have much longer of an experience with that. And like, it's so weird. Like this didn't start happening until recently. It wasn't pushing me all this right-wing stuff until very recently. And I don't know what happened, but it's so aggressive and it is genuinely ruining my experience on the website or on the app, I guess. And I don't know how to fix it aside from just like continuously clicking like don't show me this. And sometimes when you go to click like don't show me this anymore, it will give you an additional option. Let me see if I can find one of these that I want to tell it to stop showing me. Okay, this is a sponsored post though. I'm not interested in that ad. It's inappropriate. There, I'll say that. I'm saying, don't show me that ad because it's inappropriate. I have to see one that's not an ad. Oh my god, I think so. Part of the problem is that these right-wing pages are sponsoring their posts. So like the one about the contrails, that's a sponsored post from some dude. Like yeah, watch We the Free, whatever weird gun patriot shit that is. That's also sponsored. But even in the suggested, please just find one that is suggested and not sponsored. Is there anyone who hasn't paid money to put this on my fucking timeline? Weird Bible Thing, also sponsored. Heartbeat International, also sponsored. So basically, companies, like these quote-unquote nonprofits, they seem to be throwing a lot of money at making sure that this information gets in front of the eyeballs of people who use this platform, you know? Like they're making a deliberate effort to get this in front of people, but also with the suggested posts, like it was a suggested post, like Michael Knowles was suggested to me. That was not a sponsored thing, I don't think. I think it was just suggested to me, or like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, there is a vested interest on this platform in making sure right-wing content gets in front of as many people as possible. Oh, and so it spans, we have anti-vax content, we have conspiracy content, we have pro RFK Jr. shit, we have pro Trump shit, we have, there was others, oh yeah, and like, talking about kids mutilating, whatever, blah blah blah. Like Pam Bondi is going to start pursuing these hospitals because of we have a law against female genital mutilation, so we're gonna stop them from doing that to teenagers. It's like, dude, when the fuck are teenagers getting bottom surgery? Like literally never. So I don't like, but that's the kind of shit that shows up on my timeline, and I'm like, why? And it's really frustrating, and it just goes to show this is why people consider Meta to be like the most fucked up social platform. I mean, there's like 3 different ones, so it's like, let's take all of the badness of Threads and Instagram and Facebook and pile them together. Like, obviously X is like an overt cesspool, but a bunch of normies use Facebook and Instagram. Right? So this is why and how this stuff is getting spread. Genuinely, I think if, like, people who are not super politically entrenched probably use Facebook and Instagram to some degree. You know, Facebook to keep up with your parents and your distant relatives. Instagram for more regular use. You know, like, I've got family members who use Instagram. So, like, I feel like the amount of right-wing propaganda on Meta products specifically is probably contributing to this massive Overton window shift where it's like, it's fucking impossible to get away from anti-vax content on this platform. Like, I I'm not big on like interacting on Instagram. Basically, I followed a bunch of accounts and was like, cool, start showing me that stuff. You have a general idea now. You know that I like environmental causes. You know that I want to know what's going on in Portland. Like, you've got it. You figured it out. But now that it's decided to start showing me this stuff, it's genuinely fucking impossible to get away from it. And I just think that this is probably something that deserves more attention. I've kind of ignored this whole, oh, Facebook is bad thing, because I basically, you know, I just use my Facebook pretty passively. I'm just consuming content. But like on Instagram, I have to go out of my way to interact with the content. Like, I can't just follow. You know, I saw a post from Planned Parenthood, and I'm like, I'm just going to double tap and click like on the Planned Parenthood. You know, and double tapping on like, I don't really care about interacting on Instagram, but I'm just really trying to get it to stop showing me fucking right-wing shit, and I don't know how else to do it. Unfortunately, normies haven't been using social media since MySpace. If they're on social media, it's already too late. Yeah, we're all too weird. I block all right-wing content on all my socials. I rarely see it anymore. It's just the thing. It's just so aggressive. It's like, how many times do I have to say no to an anti-vax post? And also, like, you can, if you say don't show me this, you can tell it, like, this made me uncomfortable. I don't know what difference that makes. I'm not bothering to report anything because obviously they're not going to take the content down. The overwhelming majority of the posts that I just told you about were sponsored posts anyway. So, like, me telling it to not show me that or whatever, or me saying that it's not appropriate or reporting it, they're not going to take those ads down. I love it when I mention something on Discord and then it's my first suggestion next time I open Amazon. Loving this timeline. Right-wing hate media is a huge moneymaker, so of course platforms want to encourage the left to do the same. They encourage trolling. Well, I don't actually think so. So I think that there's a significant difference. And like, I don't know, maybe I will be proven wrong by this at some point. There will be, like, I guess there's kind of this concept that, okay, all they want is to drum up hate on things, right? But why is it that when I told it to stop showing me pro-trans content, it immediately fucking got the picture? But it won't stop showing me anti-trans content. Like, so I do, and like, yeah, like, yes, of course, maybe, and I've thought about that, maybe it's specifically showing me right-wing content because it has identified that people who follow left-wing stuff will comment on right-wing stuff if it shows up in their feed, even if they don't follow or subscribe, because it's still engagement, right? So I don't engage with the right-wing stuff. I'm not giving them comments. Like, I understand the idea of rage marketing. Like, I understand what rage bait is. But I don't see, like, why is it, I guess, like, is it the case that right-wingers are also getting a bunch of left-wing stuff in their feed all the time? Like, is this ultimately, you know, when we see people comment on things going like, ew, these F slurs, ew, gross, whatever, and then there will be someone commenting on it like, hey babe, you keep commenting on these things and that's why Facebook keeps showing it to you. But like, why did it start showing that to them in the first place? Is it perhaps the case that right-wingers don't want to see it, but it keeps showing up in their feed, and so eventually they comment on it and they get annoyed and they say something? Like, I have maybe once or twice popped off in the comments of something vaguely right-wing, but I try not to. And like, I wonder to an extent, is like, it's not showing you stuff that you ideologically agree with because you engage with that content less, maybe. Like, you just see it and you go, yeah, I agree with that, and then you scroll past, you know? Like, is it showing us stuff that we hate specifically on purpose? I rarely use social media unless you count Discord and YouTube. People have seemingly come down pretty firmly on the side that YouTube is a social media platform. I have reservations about that. I'm not sure if Discord is a social media platform. I guess it kind of is. It's just like when we think of social media, we think you post a picture or a short video, and then there's a discrete comments section for that content, and like each channel can kind of manage their own content and comments in the content. But like, I do agree that YouTube and Discord are probably forms of social media, even though they are not the archetypal social media. Yeah, engagement is money. It doesn't matter to the AI or algorithms what is actually being said. That's part of why I rant to my favorite creators and say nothing to those I don't like. There is some method to my madness. Yeah, absolutely. The right wing simply has more money pumping into the systems. Well, that's fucking true. But like, I don't necessarily see there being as many. I mean, yeah, maybe it genuinely is just like the left wing doesn't dump a bunch of money into Instagram ads. So like the left wing content isn't getting posted as much. I have no idea. Excuse me. Apparently, Meta was surreptitiously tracking Android users' data without their knowledge until relatively recently, so mentioning something and then seeing an ad might not be a coincidence. Yeah, I think I saw something about that. I have no idea. Is there going to be another class action lawsuit? Like, are we still waiting on the results of the original class action lawsuit about them selling a bunch of people's data? Because I might get like $10 from that. I would say that YouTube is a social media platform if you interact in the comments section. But we don't set that expectation elsewhere. You know, it's not like, oh, Instagram is not a social media platform or TikTok is not a social media platform because, oh, if you just scroll all day, like, oh, I only scroll TikTok, I never comment on anything. It's like, okay, well, does that make it not a social media platform? There is still a social relationship. Like, okay, I had a thought recently. Well, actually, so I watch Good Mythical Morning on a regular basis. I wouldn't say I watch it every day. It's not part of my morning routine or anything, but I watch Good Mythical Morning and I rewatch old episodes of Good Mythical Morning. I did notice last year, so they do charity stuff. Like they have the Wheel of Mythicality at the end, and sometimes the wheel lands on a thing where they're like, we're gonna donate this much money to this organization and we encourage you to give and join us in donating. And they, first of all, they were consistently supporting a charity that they were, so they don't necessarily take overt political stances. They don't say, you know, we think what's happening in Gaza is wrong, but they did support a nonprofit charity that was like, they provide aid to children such as those in the Gaza Strip. And so they were making a political statement by being like, we support this charity that is fighting to help children in Gaza. So like they're at the very minimum taking the stance that something fucked up is happening in Gaza and we need to help the children, right? They also just this week shared, like they did the thing at the end where they're like, we're going to donate to this charity, and it was a trans charity. And I'm about to cry right now, and I cried when I saw that in the video, because there is, even though I don't comment on their stuff, there is a parasocial feeling, like those are my internet dads. And it's like a big deal to me that they support trans rights. Like, and you know, like for the most part, I just expect people to be like somewhat aloof or like not particularly knowledgeable. So it's like, okay, of course a disappointment when you find out that someone is anti-trans, but I'm not like persistently disappointed by people who don't say overtly pro-trans things. But apparently it's deeply, deeply, deeply meaningful to me when my social media dads on YouTube support a trans charity. I'm like, oh, there's definitely parasociality here that I was kind of not aware of before. So I do think like even if you don't interact, like because you are still participating in a parasocial dynamic, which is ultimately what like all social media is, unless you are somehow one of the people who's like, I literally only ever see my friends' posts on Facebook, which is literally impossible. So Good night, Mosh. I'll see you Wednesday. Yes, you've been going for 12 hours nonstop. Please enjoy your wine and audiobook and rest well. Is TikTok a social media platform or simply a propaganda or indoctrination tool? Yeah, I mean, I think it is like definitionally a social media platform, right? People develop these parasocial relationships. They feel entitled to you. Like, I honestly do think that was part of the problem with... Fuck. Help me out. Who's the trans woman that everybody was mad at this past week for whatever was going on at Disneyland? Remind me? What's her name? I want to say her last name is Tino. Who am I thinking of? Drink some water while I'm waiting for the delay. Gayfesh says, I have the magical power of turning parasocial interactions into either IRL friends or sworn blood enemies. Well, I need to come hang out with you before we become sworn blood enemies. Yeah, the rage bait lady. I think her last name is Tino. But my brain is getting fucked up because I'm thinking of Tina Kotek because I just went on this big Instagram rant. Lily Tino, thank you. Jesus. Like, I think part of the reason why people are mad at Lily Tino in the way that they are is because of the parasociality, right? Like, the fact that you think that you know enough about this woman to judge her from what you see on her TikTok, and the fact that you feel... Not you, personally. Obviously, you guys here are cool. Although someone apparently who is in my community, or maybe they just wanted to see my take on this specifically, like, someone said something to me on Blue Sky. Let me see if I can find... the post that I was replying to. I tried to keep things... I tried to be really nice to this person. It was a few days ago. Where is it? Okay, so someone... Okay, I'm not gonna show you who said this. Or if you go digging for it, I can't stop you, but, like, obviously leave this person alone. Like, this person apparently is either in my community or someone like shared my stuff to her specifically. Okay, she follows me, so she is part of my community. And she said, as a trans woman, Lily Tino is grifting on my back. She deserves comfort and respect, but she knows what she's doing. Your take fucking sucks. And that was what she said to me about my take being basically like, I don't really care about what she's doing. Like, you know, haha, she's figured out how to rage bait from the left-wing perspective and she's making bank. She's making all this money. And I'm like, good for her. I kind of don't take any particular issue with it. Like, if anything, like, I wish I was half as willing or able to do what she's doing. Cause it's like, that's, you know, she's obviously doing well, but people have this parasocial thing where they're like, oh, she's a trans woman, therefore she represents me. Or like, she's a trans woman and like, I watch her content and I want her to behave in the way that I think she should behave. Like, I think that she should behave in a way that's just different from what she's doing. Like, maybe people don't even have a specific thing. Because again, like, I watched Lily Tino's content randomly. Like, it would just come up sometimes. And it basically, or no, the one that I covered specifically was when that TERF told her, she said, I'm a TERF, and she threatened to beat her up. But like, and it seems like she just is polite. Like, she's firm and she's like, look, your employee misgendered me, or like, look, this lady is accosting me and I feel that I shouldn't have to deal with this when I'm just trying to eat lunch. And like, yes, of course it's provocative. That's the reason why she's posting it. Is it's provocative. But like, is she a bad representative of trans women? And like the weird thing is, I feel like people are having the opposite reaction to Lily Tino than they were having to It's Ma'am. You know? Like, I felt like people were so understanding of It's Ma'am. And I can't remember that woman's name, and I'm so sorry. I'm just going to reference it like the meme that it has become. The GameStop lady who like freaked out at the employee. I feel like I saw a lot of compassion for that woman that was like, wow, I feel so bad for her. She must have really been going through some things. And then Lily Tino is sitting here like, she's correcting people on misgendering her, and she's being very polite and very quiet. And I don't fucking understand the difference here. Like, I don't get it. And it's really annoying. Why did I bring this up in the first place? I can't remember what I was saying. Parasociality, right? It's like, I think that it is, you know, it's one thing for you to be filmed by someone else. Maybe that's the difference, is like someone filmed this woman having a really bad day going, it's ma'am, it's ma'am. It rubbed me the wrong way how ContraPoints used that clip in a video, the it's ma'am one. Was it in cringe? She was like, this woman made me feel cringe. Yeah, I don't know. There are people who have been annoyed with me in the past for how I have referenced memes. Like, I included that classic picture that is totally taken out of context of the woman going like, you know, the one where she's like pointing. I used that in a thumbnail to illustrate in shorthand the idea of an SJW. And like people had some criticisms for that. And I'm like, I understand kind of what you mean, but also like, I kind of don't feel like it's wrong to reference like an extremely popular event and to use shorthand that my audience is going to understand. You know, like, I'm sure that there are criticisms to be made, and like I could be doing things differently or better or whatever. So I don't know that I can. Maybe there's a difference of scale. Like ContraPoints has a much bigger audience than I do, and you could argue that she has a responsibility to not put that woman on even more blast than she is. Maybe it was too fresh at the time or something. Like the ubiquity of the SJW face, I felt made it a little bit like more morally permissible. But I just don't know that I can come down on like a for sure ContraPoints shouldn't have included that meme. Or maybe she could have referenced it without using the clip. If she put up a still image and was like, everybody knows about this woman's bad day that has now been publicized across the internet. I'm going to take that image down now, but you understand what I'm talking about, and let me tell you how I felt about it. Maybe it was a matter of just presentation, and it could have been better if it had just been packaged slightly differently. I just don't like ContraPoints anymore. So I'm like, I'm kind of like sort of saying I understand maybe why she did that, but also like I don't fucking care anymore. It's such a weird place to be in. At what point am I going to finally delete my channel defining videos about ContraPoints? These are questions. I'm trying to recreate my channel, and I don't know if like I'm trying to figure out like how much of my old political content am I going to delete in the idea of, you know, updating this shit. Okay, what bothered me was that within her analysis of the moment, it lacked compassion for the woman. Like she was only bringing it up for the cringe. Oh, okay. So she did not contextualize it as like this woman was having a bad day and we should be sympathetic. She was only like, I felt gross about this interaction. Like, yeah, that makes sense. No wonder I don't like her anymore. Like the fundamental inability to perceive things through the lens of someone else. Like the fact that she still rags on like, oh, Abigail stole my format. She stole my content. She became me. It's like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. It's like way to make someone else's entire transition and career all about you, Natalie. Like, what the fuck, dude? Fen, talking about Lily Tino, says, people say that she's faking it because she's a bad person and will proceed to misgender and dead name her constantly. Even if she were a plant and a right-wing grifter, that's no excuse to be playing trans police. She's not the reason people hate trans people. They've literally made stuff up before. They will look for excuses, and they always will. Like, I've seriously heard she's awful a lot, but then when I look at her content, it's literally just the restaurant video and everything's totally fine. Like, yeah. True, Abigail actually puts videos out, so like if Natalie was so demoralized by Abigail coming out and like having the audacity to use characters and colored lights in her videos and like was so demoralized by that she retreated to her Patreon and like only does occasional guest spots on other people's podcasts and everything. It's like, it seems like you decided to give Abigail your career. It just seems like you decided that maybe it was like, if their videos are in competition with one another, it turns out that Abigail's videos just perform better. Like, I don't know. A lot of the big trans YouTubers come from very privileged backgrounds and are distinctly non-representative of the trans communities they speak on. That's totally fair. Like, I think that it's partially just because it's like, okay, if you have a successful channel and then you transition, like, okay, obviously, like, that's a ton of privilege just on its own. Like, the fact that you were able to build a successful YouTube channel in the first place, because guess what? Lots of femmes and lots of women and lots of trans women, like, trans women specifically, I mean, can't get, like, do not break out and become successful, you know? Is, like, that whole thing where, like, men are respected more than women. So, like, on that very face level, it's like, yeah, you already were relatively comfortable and successful, and then you transitioned. Like, okay. People would watch Contra 2 if she only posted more. Fair. ContraPoints literally had Hillary Clinton in her house. Her life is not the same. Yeah, I mean, that too. Like, that, I don't know. I think that might be a difference of politics. Like, if Abigail were politically not who she is, I don't know what she is herself. Like, it's interesting because I think that Abigail's videos are what made me realize, like, that I think anarchy is an interesting political position. But I don't think she's an anarchist herself. I think she's more of like a social democrat or something. But like, is there a situation where Abigail, who might be politically oriented differently, would do like an interview with Keir Starmer or something? You know, like, is there a situation where maybe it's just a difference in their politics that has prevented Abby from doing any of that stuff? I have no idea who a lot of these people are. Okay, well, I guess congratulations. It would take a lot of money and very liberal or uninvolved parents to transition early and become a young trans YouTuber. I mean, like, I don't know. It's hard to make broad prescriptions across the board. Like, Kat Black has, like, to this day, a successful YouTube channel. She's clearly still making money off of it, or I don't think she'd be doing it anymore at this point. Or I don't know, maybe she just feels like her ideas are good to share. I did watch a video from her recently, or I think maybe I started to watch a video from her recently, and then I got tripped up by something. Oh, yeah. She did a video about Josh Cedar, whoever that guy was who was pretending to be a woman, like pretending to be a trans woman, and making everybody look bad. And it was like, I think Kat Black started to shit talk the idea of trans women having period symptoms, and I was like, oh, I don't like you. I forgot that I don't like you. But she has had a successful channel for years and years and years and years and years, and she's still doing it, and she has been a trans woman the whole time. I think she might have some intersex condition because she started growing breasts when she was a teenager, but she wasn't on estrogen yet. So I think that you know, she is an example of a trans woman who gained all of her audience while being an out trans woman, like, the entire time, effectively. But other than that, there are not, like, many examples of big successful channels. Like, did Jessie Gender come out as trans before or during her career? I don't actually know. I kind of always forget about Jessie Gender. I shouldn't. She has a pretty large channel, but, like, after everything went down with, like, was it FD Signifier? What happened? It was like, it was a whole lot of, like, black people disagreeing about what's appropriate, and then white people getting involved by being like, these black people are good and these black people are bad. And I just thought that Jessie really made some significant missteps there, but maybe I should let that go completely. And just focus on the now. But, like, she has 280,000 subs, and I'm like, so did she build her channel by, like, while she was an out trans woman? I don't actually know. I'd be really curious. I'm sure that if you were to try to look for any, you know, oh, back when she was a man or whatever. Like, people delete that stuff after a period of time. They just get rid of it. I do miss when Contra just made anti-Nazi type videos. I tend to prefer smaller trans YouTubers who feel more grounded. I think everyone makes mistakes. Yeah. I'm aware. Everybody makes mistakes. I was on a panel, like, I was on Dead Domains. They were doing a charity stream a while back, and Jessie Gender was on there, and we got along just fine. You know, she's a very nice person. I probably should be aware of what she's doing and what she's talking about at the very minimum, because, so here's an interesting little crossover. I'm trying to figure out what direction to take the channel, you know, and like, how do I bridge what I was doing with what I want to be doing, sort to kind of get my audience used to that, or start to build the new audience. And so something that I could do is I could make reaction content to other people's media reviews and be like, this person was totally wrong about this, or this person was totally right about this. So in that way, I can continue to do what has been very successful on my channel in the past, is talking about other YouTubers. So at the very minimum, I should probably know what these people are doing. Abigail was in House of the Dragon. You know what's really funny is I completely forgot that she was in House of the Dragon, and I was watching House of the Dragon last night. And then it was like, here we go, we're doing this. And I was like, oh yeah, it's Abigail. Yeah, I forgot that she was in here. Totally. It was fun. Dead Domain mentioned. True. I had the thought while I was taking my midstream break that, like, you guys, there's one person in YouTube chat and one person in website chat who is housing insecure right now. I'm completely open to doing like what Dead Domain was doing. When I went on Dead Domain's stream most recently, it was doing a charity stream to funnel money into trans people's GoFundMes. So, like, if there are people who are housing insecure in my community who want to start a GoFundMe or who have a GoFundMe, I'm completely open to the idea of organizing a stream like that, where I get Dead Domain and I get Riverboat Jack and I get whoever to come on and, like, talk to me or play games or whatever. And, like, we're trying to raise money for people's GoFundMes. Like, that is something that I'm completely open to doing. That is one thing I can do to use my platform to make the situation better for some people. Even though I can't personally donate, like, I can at least hold a platform for that. So if we want to talk about organizing that, that is something that I'd be interested in doing. I also have been thinking about, unrelated to that, but I'm also thinking about organizing events in the Discord that are just community events, so that y'all can make friends and, like, have fun together. So yeah, please don't, please be aware that those are some things, and, like, let me know what your thoughts are moving forward on, like, what do you feel about doing a charity stream like that? Because most of the time I don't really have any other reason to have people on. I don't usually have, like, oh, let's talk about this specific thing. Like, I just don't. So a charity stream would be the perfect excuse to bring these people on and, like, talk to them. You and Riverboat together would be amazing. I know, she's so great. Yeah, her appearance in House of the Dragon was definitely more memorable than her tiny role in The Acolyte. I love Dead Domain. Watched the video where they went down and joined Jessie Gender in the LA protests. Nice. I have mostly not been watching all of that kind of content lately. Okay, here, I have an idea. I'm going to kind of jump subject slightly, because I'm on Jessie Gender's channel right now, and she has a video about Star Wars Andor, and that has reminded me that I think I'm going to make a Star Wars Andor video. I think it's going to perform poorly, but I think that it's because it's so soon after Season 2 of Star Wars Andor, I think I need to do it now rather than waiting any longer. And she was in The Acolyte? Yeah, she was just like she was part of, like, a cult, like an all-female witchy cult or something. But anyway, so obviously we're going to talk about Star Wars Andor on the podcast, but I think I want to make a dedicated video basically titled In Defense of Dedra Meero, Like, I think I want to make an entire video about how I feel about Dedra Miro. She's the ISB agent with the platinum blonde hair. It's the kind of thing that I think could get really good clicks, if not for the fact that I'm putting it on my channel where I talk mostly about trans stuff, you know. But like, I want to make the video, and I'm gonna put it out there on my main channel, even though I don't know, man. Maybe I should put it on Musing Moss and hope that it gets a better, traction that way. And then like later on, if I decide to bring in my non-queer stuff onto the queer channel, maybe I can delete it later and re-upload it. I don't know. I'm trying to decide what is the best thing to do. I know. Listen, I know. I know that Dedra Miro is a bad guy, but hear me out though. You know, I think I want to make that video. I don't know how many people here even watch Star Wars Andor, but basically I'm trying to make a video about a villain being like not redeemable. I want to talk about how sympathetic this villain is and how much I feel bad for her, even though she is most certainly a villain. And if people have watched the show, they're going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, the most problematic, hear me out. Like, hear me out, guys. Actually, I like her a lot. I like Andor. I haven't finished the second season yet. Okay. I don't want to spoil anything. I really, really, really want you guys to enjoy watching it. And I want to know how you feel about it at the end. But I think I'm gonna start putting that together soon. Yeah, Star Wars and or Star Trek. Exactly. I think it turns out that I like Star Wars more than Star Trek. I know that Gayfesh is in the chat, and I'm about to get in trouble, but I think I like Star Wars more. I used to be I'm like, oh, Star Trek is so much better. One person's villain is another person's hero. I want to be completely clear that Dedra Miro is not a hero, is not a heroine. She's not a hero. But I really do like her a lot. It's a testament to how good the show is that it's one of its main villains. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Oh my gosh. I started watching Andor because I saw Jesse Gender had a video on it. Okay, cool. Nice. If you like Star Wars more than Star Trek, that's okay. Okay. I've been forgiven. I've been given permission. The lady who the stuffy guy simps for, she rules. Great character. True. Listen, exactly. Yes. Great character. Horrible person. Great character. I want to make a video that's in defense of Dedra Miro. I don't know exactly if that's going to be the title. It might be. It might be like in defense of Dedra Miro, and then the thumbnail, some kind of like she did nothing wrong or something on the thumbnail. So that's kind of something I'm excited about moving forward. I don't know if it'll be my next video, but I do want to put it out soon. So I might be like, I need to just start working on it as soon as I finish the I Saw the TV Glow video. I Saw the TV Glow video is going to come out this week. When are we getting your review of Arcane? I don't know. I don't know anything about it, so I haven't watched it. But oh, I guess I could ask. I can always like, if you know, I could ask Jesse Gender to give me like a 2-minute commentary or something, like, hey, what do you think about this video? Or like, here, let me show you the outline or whatever, for cross-pollination reasons. But okay, so I just want to let you guys know what is coming up. So I am going to start working on that video, the Star Wars Andor video, and I think I want to just put it out there. And if it fails, it fails. Maybe I'll put it on my secondary channel and I'll post it into the Discord and I'll be like, hey guys, please watch this. It's on my secondary channel. And just see how that goes. Like, just see what happens to it. And I don't know, maybe I'll post like a 2-minute clip from it on my main channel and try to direct traffic over there. But then, before that, I'm going to work on I Saw the TV Glow. My intention is to have that out this week. I made a review. It's done, except that like now I'm doing the part where I'm putting in the clips, which is very difficult to do. It takes a lot of time and like, ooh, when is this going to transition from this clip to this clip, and like how much, like how long of a period of time should I just stay on my face? Like, you know, you have to be concerned with that whole like keeping things visually dynamic thing, as well as like not boring as far as the audio goes. But some people will listen to this stuff like podcast, but there are enough people watching that you do need to keep it visually interesting. So that's what I'm working on right now. And so I'm expecting that video will be out like I want to say hopefully Wednesday at the latest. I feel like that, you know, in a more ideal world I would have it done tomorrow, but I didn't work on it yesterday. So but I saw the TV Glow review, going to be coming out this week. I have no idea what the schedule is for the line for the upcoming month. I have talked to Arden briefly about getting on the hang up, and I filled out my availability form today. So I'm going to try to get on at least one other show from the line this month. I'm expecting that I will be on Transatlantic Call-In Show either 2 or 3 times, because I think there's 5 Thursdays this month. Excuse me. Yeah, we have 5 Thursdays in the month of July. So I'm going to be on Takis between 2 and 3 times. And I'm also trying to get on either the Sunday show, Sunday After Dark maybe, or no, I said not Sunday After Dark. Either the Sunday show, the Hang Up on Wednesdays, or Chewed Gum on Tuesday. So I'm going to start trying to get on one of the other shows that we do. And that's going to be what's coming up in July. So in July, look forward to I Saw the TV Glow review. I'm probably going to slap together that Star Wars Andor review and put it on my other channel and share it out to all you guys. And then, of course, I'll let you know when I'm going to be on the line this month as it comes. So with all that said, boy howdy, my voice is so sore. So I'm going to go ahead and log off of here, go enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope that you all have a good evening and a good start to your week. I am planning to see you all on Wednesday. So between now and then, I hope that you are good. I hope that you behave yourself. Or at least you're getting into good trouble. You know, if you're going to get in trouble, at least get into good trouble. And I will see you later. Okay, bye.